Chapter 1. Echoes of Concern. The sun descended beyond the horizon, its last rays filtering through the dense canopy of trees surrounding the clearing where Elena, Mia, and Jake worked tirelessly. Hues of deep orange and purple painted the sky, but the beauty of the sunset felt muted against the heavy weight of impending darkness that loomed above them. It was not just the onset of night that unsettled their hearts, it was the storm brewing on the periphery, a potent reminder of the unrest that gripped Etheria. Elena's fingers deftly tied the final knot of a vibrant banner, the symbol of unity among their disparate alliances, when a sudden gust of wind swept through the clearing, snatching her breath and sending chills skittering across her skin. She paused, glancing at Mia and Jake, whose faces reflected the same confusion and unease. "Did you feel that?" Elena asked, casting a wary eye on the sky. Dark clouds gathered, swirling ominously as if the heavens themselves were conspiring against them. Mia stepped closer, tilting her head as she listened to the whispers that hung in the air. It was an eerie sound, indistinct yet full of urgency. "It's like there are voices carried on the wind," she murmured, her brow furrowed in concern. "Something feels wrong." Jake, ever the pragmatic one, shrugged, his posture relaxed despite the tension that laced the atmosphere. "It's probably just a storm. We've faced worse, right? We need to stay focused on the gathering. If we dwell on every little sign, we'll drive ourselves mad." Yet even as he tried to reassure them, his eyes darted towards the brewing tempest, betraying a hint of anxiety. As they arranged additional seating for the anticipated guests, Elena couldn't shake the feeling that their efforts were in vain against the shadows gathering beyond their realm. "What if it's more than just a storm?" she questioned, voicing the unsettling thought that took root in her mind. "What if it's a warning?" The wind howled, and the whispers grew more distinct, weaving through the air, wrapping around the trio like a shroud. Each gust seemed to carry a weight of dread, whispering truths they could not quite comprehend. "Elena's right," Mia said, her voice barely rising above the wind. "I can feel it. We're connected to something much larger than ourselves." As the tension mounted, a deep rumble of thunder echoed across the clearing, shaking the earth beneath their feet. It was a sound reminiscent of the very conflict they feared. "Perhaps we should postpone the gathering," Elena suggested, her heart racing at the thought of exposing their alliance to the whims of fate. "Postpone? We can't afford to show any weakness," Jake responded, shaking his head vehemently. "We need to demonstrate our solidarity. If we lose our nerve now, we might never recover." The clouds rolled in more thickly overhead, obscuring the last light of day. Compelled by instinct, Mia stepped back from the preparations, gazing into the encroaching darkness. "There's something out there, something watching. The air is charged with tension. I can feel it in my bones." From the edge of the clearing, an ominous breeze swept past them, carrying with it the scent of rain and something else, a faint trace of earth and electricity, hinting at a storm of another nature. As if the world itself were holding its breath, they exchanged worried glances, each feeling the weight of uncertainty on their shoulders. Elena took a deep breath, her resolve solidifying. "Regardless of what might be looming overhead, we have to trust in our unity and our purpose. We are stronger together." Just as she spoke, a bright flash of lightning illuminated the sky, illuminating the silhouettes of their preparations against the dark backdrop. For a fleeting moment, the harsh brightness revealed the intersection of the realms, where shadows stretched from one dimension to another, hinting at a more profound connection that existed beyond their understanding. As the thunder rolled once more, longer and deeper, the trio felt a chill race down their spines. "Let's finish what we started," Jake urged, though a tremor in his voice belied his outward confidence. "We'll be ready." The whispers echoed around them, fading into the growing rumble of the storm, leaving both hope and foreboding in their wake. Though they steeled themselves for the gathering, each was aware that they were standing at a precipice, one that could lead to either salvation or ruin. Finalize, and as the storm gathered its strength overhead, the distant echoes of an unseen enemy began to stir, hinting at an impending clash that would test the very foundations of their alliance and summon the darkness from beyond. In this version, the chapter incorporates sensory details and character interactions to forge a stronger emotional connection between the characters and their environment. The stakes are raised, foreshadowing the conflict and intrigue that lies ahead while highlighting their unity and fears. Chapter 2: Unseen Tensions. A shroud of darkness cloaked the clearing as twilight descended, the air thick with anticipation. The alliance gathering had begun, bringing together representatives from all corners of Etheria, guardians with their regal bearing and the more elusive gloomlings, each carrying their own hopes, fears, and prejudices. The mingling factions filled the air with chatter, but beneath the surface of civility lay an undercurrent of anxiety that crackled like static electricity. Elena stepped forward, her heart pounding in rhythm with the flutter of banners that danced uneasily in the embracing wind. She caught glimpses of familiar faces, solemn and wary, as they exchanged words in hushed tones. The very atmosphere felt fraught with tension, and she knew she would have to address it head-on. As she prepared to speak, the murmurs of discontent began to rise. "We cannot ignore the threats that loom over us," a stern-looking guardian declared, his voice cutting through the noise. "The gloomlings have always been untrustworthy. How can we ally with them?" A ripple of agreement coursed through the crowd, and Elena's stomach twisted at their hostility. She could feel Mia's presence at her side, quiet yet supportive, but the unease in the air strained her fragile hope for a united front. Taking a deep breath, Elena stepped up to the makeshift podium, catching the attention of the assembly. "I understand the concerns weighing on us. We are all aware of the dark forces threatening our lands," she began, striving to project confidence. "But our strength lies in our unity. Together, we can face whatever challenges come our way." Just as she hoped to inspire camaraderie, a figure stepped forward from the shadows. Lucian, his presence imposing yet masked in the guise of an ally. He wore an amiable smile, though it felt insincere, as if his intentions were shrouded in ulterior motives. But can we truly trust one another?" he interjected, his tone smooth and persuasive. "Look at the gloomlings. How can we ignore their history? There are too many uncertainties." Lucian turned his gaze upon key figures within the assembly, honing in on the fractures that already festered among them. His words dripped with insinuation, each syllable planting seeds of doubt in the minds of those who were already hesitant. Elena watched in mounting horror as expressions shifted, the supportive murmurs fading into whispers of mistrust. Fear spiraled in her gut. Lucian's deception was like poison in their well of unity. "Lucian, we have come here to pledge our support," she challenged, attempting to regain control of the narrative. "We are all here for the same purpose, to protect our homes and our people. This gathering is a testament to our need for solidarity, not division." But Lucian smirked slightly, undeterred. "And yet, you cannot ignore the history of betrayal that lingers in the air. It's not just the actions of the past, it's the potential for the future. The gloomlings' powers can sway the tides of darkness just as easily as our guardianship can." Murmurs of agreement broke out again, and Elena felt the frustration boil within her. "We have to move beyond our past grievances. We cannot allow fear to dictate our actions. The true threat lies beyond our borders, and if we do not stand united, we are doomed." Her voice grew stronger, but doubt lingered in the eyes of many. The assembly was fracturing, and she could see the gloomling representatives withdrawing, their expressions troubled, caught between loyalty and the poison of fear that Lucian had spread. Mia stepped forward, sensing the need to bolster Elena's resolve. "We must remember why we are here. Each of us carries scars from battles fought, but we can heal those wounds together. Let not suspicion dictate our next move. Let's forge a future where trust is the currency we trade." For a moment, her words seemed to bridge the gap, but as Lucian observed, he simply laughed softly, his amusement an echo of condescension. "Duplicitous words. Gloomlings are known for their tricks and schemes. Can they be trusted not to betray us at the first sign of danger?" The crowd's whispers grew louder, and Elena felt herself losing control. She glanced at Jake, whose brow was furrowed with concern, but he stood silent, seemingly caught in the whirlwind of tension that now enveloped them. Desperation washed over her as she scanned the faces of their allies, realizing that Lucian's manipulations had taken root deeper than she'd anticipated. She needed to act fast to quell the rising tide of dissent before it swept them all away. We face a common enemy, whether we acknowledge it or not. Lucian's words paint a picture of division, but together we can craft a story of resilience. Elena pressed, her voice steady despite the trembling desire to shout over the noise. We owe it to ourselves and our people to rise above this, and to each other. At last, in the midst of their spirited discussions, she saw a flicker of understanding in some of the faces staring back at her. Yet Lucian merely leaned against a nearby tree, arms crossed, a spectator reveling in the chaos he had orchestrated. As the discontented voices echoed around her, Elena felt an urgency bloom within her, a call to action to shelter her people from the unseen tensions swirling just beneath the surface. Her heart raced, but she knew she had a pivotal choice to make. She would have to fight for their unity, even if it meant standing against the very shadows that sought to ensnare them. But as the gathering continued, the storm overhead rumbled ominously, its warning echoing the conflict within their ranks. The stakes had been raised, and the road ahead would be fraught with challenges that would demand more than just courage. It would require unfaltering conviction and an unwavering commitment to hope amid unseen threats. Finalize. With both camaraderie and a growing rift hanging in the balance, Elena steeled herself to confront the growing darkness, aware that the path to unity would be tested in ways they could not yet comprehend. Chapter 3. Illusions of Trust. The atmosphere at the gathering was charged with an anticipation that barely masked the undercurrents of tension. Elven banners fluttered in the cool night air, casting intricate shadows upon the assembled crowd as they listened to the melodic intonations of the elders speaking. In that moment, trust was the foundation upon which their hopes rested, perhaps even naively so. But it was Lucian who reveled in that trust, for he was a master manipulator, capable of twisting perceptions with a mere thought. With a flick of his hand, whispers of sedition floated through the air like dark specters, infiltrating hearts and minds. The first strands of his illusion slipped into the gathering, invisible yet potent. Before long, an unsettling rift tore through the assembly. Suddenly, once amicable discussions devolved into heated arguments. Lysander, a stalwart friend of Elena, was shouting across the clearing, his face contorted with fury as he pointed an accusing finger at Selena. "You had knowledge of this, didn't you? You wanted to sabotage our mission from the start." The accusation cut through the air like a blade, and Elena felt the winds shift ominously. Selena's eyes widened in disbelief. "How can you say that? I was with you every step." "You know me," she screamed back, desperation lacing her voice. Around them, other members of the gathering stood disengaged, their expressions clouded by doubt as Lucian's illusion continued to grow, ensnaring friendships and solidifying enmities. Elena watched the chaos unravel, feeling the icy tendrils of fear creep into her heart. Even those closest to her were suddenly viewed through a lens of suspicion. It was as if trust itself was a fragile glass ornament, shattered upon impact. Confusion reigned in the assembly, and she desperately sought to locate a semblance of clarity in the madness. "Stop. Just stop," she called out, though her voice was like a whisper lost in a tempest. Yet Lucian thrived on discord, and like a dark conductor, he wove discontent among the members, feeding on the fractures until it seemed the very soul of their unity had been laid bare. In that moment of chaos, where friends stood unrecognizable as foes, an idea crystallized in Elena's mind. They were wasting precious time, fighting illusions that would only deepen if left unchecked. They needed a powerful countermeasure. They needed the Paragon Sphere. It was a legendary artifact said to unveil truth and dispel even the most insidious deception. Guided by instinct, she felt an urgency to act. "We need to retrieve the Paragon Sphere," she shouted, her voice echoing with determination above the clamor. "It's the only way to restore clarity and trust among us." A flicker of recognition sparked in the eyes of some, a glimmer of hope amidst the darkness. "But where is it?" another member asked, stepping tentatively forward. Elena felt the ripple of uncertainty, but she knew they had no choice. "It's held within the caverns of Regulus," she explained, heart racing with the rise and fall of disbelief. "Guarded by the Keeper. We must act swiftly before Lucian's illusions grow deeper roots." As murmurs spread through the crowd, a mixture of fear and determination hung in the air. "The Keeper is not easily swayed," someone cautioned, but Elena remained undeterred. "The truth is worth the risk," she declared, catching the gaze of Lysander, who now seemed to see her for who she truly was, not a betrayer but a leader. "We cannot allow Lucian to win. We must stand against the illusions he spins." With a collective nod and renewed strength, the group began to formulate a plan. Trust had become a flickering candle, nearly extinguished, but Elena's resolve served as the spark that reignited it, drawing them together even amidst the shadows. Elena straightened her back, focusing not just on her friends, but the task ahead. It was clear they would have to confront Lucian's darkness with the radiant light of truth, the only path to salvaging what remained of their unity. They were allies forged anew, their paths entwined by the echoes of both betrayal and resilience. As they prepared to embark on their treacherous quest, Elena vowed that the war of illusions would meet its reckoning. The Paragon Sphere awaited, and with it, the chance to unmask the shadows that clouded their trust. Chapter 4. The Cradle of Echoes. Section 1. The journey begins. The air was thick with a dreamy mist as Elena, Mia, and Jake journeyed toward the Cradle of Echoes. A landscape, unlike any they had encountered, unfolded before them. Twisted branches draped in silken cobwebs, the ground carpeted with soft moss that glowed faintly in the dim light. Ethereal whispers danced on the wind, hinting at secrets and challenges that lay within this mystical place. The path ahead twisted and turned as if it held its own heartbeat, guiding them deeper into the essence of their own psyches. "Tread carefully. They say the cradle reveals not only your desires but your deepest fears," Elena warned, her voice a mixture of caution and curiosity. "My greatest fear is not knowing what's ahead," Mia confessed, her brow furrowing as she glanced towards the shrouded figures in the mist. "What if my past mistakes come back to haunt me?" Jake, who had been unusually silent, shifted uncomfortably. "Maybe we aren't ready for what's to come. I mean, what if our fears trap us here? What if they expose our weaknesses?" Tension crackled like static around them. The air grew charged with the weight of unspoken worries. Each character wrestled with what this journey meant personally. Unresolved issues bubbled just below the surface, foreshadowing the trials they would soon confront. They entered the glade as a team, yet each felt the isolation of their individual burdens. Section 2. Facing Illusions. As they stepped into the heart of the cradle, reality itself seemed to ripple. The air shimmered and morphed into ethereal visions that danced around them. Each echo summoned forth a personal trial, compelling them to face what they had long avoided. Elena's trial. Elena was first to succumb to the vision. She found herself standing in a familiar place, a sunlit room filled with laughter, suddenly turned dark and cold. There, she saw a version of herself clutching the hand of a loved one, a brother she had lost to darkness long before. The scene twisted and became a cruel reminder of helplessness, his eyes filled with disappointment as he faded into shadows. "I couldn't save you," she cried, pain welling in her chest. She felt the icy grip of guilt as memories of their last conversation replayed, echoing her feelings of regret. Yet, within the anguish, she recognized the source of her sorrow wasn't the past itself, but her inability to forgive herself. In that moment, she spoke to the apparition. "I did everything I could. I will carry your memory with love, not guilt." A soft light enveloped her as she embraced her brother's shadows, allowing both hope and grief to coexist. Mia's trial. Mia's trial followed shortly after. The scene shifted, revealing her in a bustling hall where her peers showcased powerful spells and dazzling accomplishments. As Mia attempted to cast her own spell, her magic faltered and fizzled, leaving shadows of her peers looking on with doubt. "What's wrong, Mia? You're better than this," echoed a voice from the crowd, a mocking reminder of her insecurities. In despair, she confronted the illusion. "I am unique," she said, her voice firming. "I may not be them, but I have my own strengths." The moment she embraced her individuality, the shadows brightened. She drew a breath, casting a simple illusion that dazzled, a shimmering butterfly. It was small, but radiant in its own right. Jake's trial. Finally, Jake stood alone before the echo of his past, forced to face the consequences of a childish decision that cost him friendships. He saw the shadows of his former companions, their faces twisted in sadness and betrayal. They floated toward him, their eyes reflecting disappointment. "Do you even care, Jake?" Their voices echoed, cutting sharply at his heart. "You are too consumed by your pride to think of us." Jake clenched his fists, grappling with the emotions swirling inside him. "I was young and foolish," he replied bitterly, acknowledging the truth in their accusations. Yet alongside that acknowledgement, a sense of clarity began to bloom. "But I've changed. I've learned to think before I act." The shadows wavered, their grip weak, as Jake uttered a heartfelt apology. In doing so, he recognized the growth he had undergone, an acceptance of his flaws and a commitment to embrace the responsibility that lay ahead. Section 3. Confronting fears together. Emerging from their individual trials, the trio reunited in a clearing where the air felt lighter but charged with residual energy. They shared their experiences, the atmosphere pulsing with newfound intimacy. "I was gripped by guilt," Elena admitted, her gaze steady. "But I've learned that forgiveness is powerful, not just for others, but for myself. I realize my value doesn't diminish because I'm different," Mia confessed, her confidence blooming. "I can find strength in what makes me unique." Jake nodded, his expression reflective. "And I need to be more mindful. My past doesn't define me, but it impacts my present. I want to be a better friend, someone who's dependable." With that, they engaged in a heartfelt discussion about trust. Each revealed the fears that had bound them, and in turn, they fortified their bond with promises to support one another. "We will face our challenges together, no matter what," Elena pledged, reaching for her companion's hands in solidarity. Section 4. The final challenge. Just as they prepared to leave the cradle of echoes, an oppressive silence descended. Shadows slithered from the depths, morphing into sinister figures that mirrored their deepest insecurities, tangible manifestations of doubt that circled like vultures. "All you've learned is meaningless," hissed the dark forms. "You're still weak." The trio stood firm, serrated edges of fear piercing their hearts, but they would not be swayed. Elena's courage surged, Mia's intellect sparked ideas, and Jake's determination crystallized into a plan. Together, Elena shouted, her voice ringing with authority. "We need to combine our strengths." They devised a strategy, layering their abilities, Elena's fierce courage to push forward, Mia's spells to distract and confuse the shadows, and Jake's determination to safeguard his friends. As they engaged in this battle of light and dark, the clash was not just physical, it embodied their internal struggles. Elena charged forward, banishing the shades of guilt with a mighty incantation that drew from her newfound self-forgiveness, while Mia conjured illusions that flitted through the shadows, disorienting them. Jake, fueled by resolve, stood at the front lines and protected his friends, connecting his growth with the loyalty he had once neglected. The accumulation of their accumulated strength created a luminous barrier that clashed against the darkness, sending echoes of spirit slicing through the shadows, scattering them like mist in the morning sun. Section 5. Aftermath and Reflection. After the tumultuous battle, they found refuge at a safe distance from the cradle. The air buzzed with a sense of relief, yet the echoes of their trials still lingered in their minds. "I've never felt so exposed, and yet so free," Elena sighed, leaning against a nearby rock. I see strength in vulnerability now. Mia smiled, her face bright with realization. I finally embrace who I am without comparing myself to others. It's empowering. Jake looked toward the horizon, thoughtful. I want to lead thoughtfully. To weigh my decisions, not just for myself, but for all of us. As they sat together, discussing their shared journey and leaning on the lessons they had learned, they set intentions for their future. We need a clear path forward, Elena suggested, energy igniting in her voice. Let's outline our next destination. There's strength in knowing we face it together. Yet as they gazed toward the horizon, that air of possibility was tinged with unease. A shadow flickered, obscured in the distance, hinting at adversaries yet to come, dangers that would challenge the very bond they had fortified. With the sun setting behind them, wounds began to heal, dreams took flight, and they forged a shared vision that bound them closer together, unaware of the tumultuous path that lay ahead. The veil of illusions awaited, and only together could they hope to face the darkness that threatened to engulf them. Chapter 6: A Shattering Illusion. As Elena, Mia, and Jake stepped from the ruins of Unity and into the familiar surroundings of their encampment, a wave of warmth enveloped them, but it was quickly eclipsed by an oppressive tension that hung in the air like the scent of impending rain. The once invigorating fragrance of pine and earth was now tainted with an acrid hint of fear, a sourness that churned in the stomach and coiled around their throats. Something felt off, almost electric, as they approached their makeshift home. It was as though the very essence of the camp had darkened, and the sounds of the forest, chirping crickets, rustling leaves, felt muted. The disruption of trust. The trio's camaraderie began to fray as they burst into the clearing. Fellow travelers stood in heated clusters, their voices rising, an unsettling blend of anger and confusion saturating the air. Elena's heart sank as she caught snippets of conversations, tinged with betrayal and regret. "I trusted you," a voice shouted, causing a shiver to ripple through the group. The delicious scent of a hearty stew simmering over an open fire, once inviting, now smelled like a trap, familiar yet unnervingly foreboding. Elena's stomach turned at the thought of the warmth it had promised, as unappetizing visions of treachery clouded her mind. Mia's brows knitted together in worry, while Jake clenched his fists, a storm brewing in his deep-set eyes. "There's been a terrible misunderstanding," Elena called out, trying to cut through the cacophony. "We just returned to help." But her words were swallowed by the rising tide of accusations. "Help? Or simply serve your own interests?" Another angered ally retorted, clutching a plate of half-eaten food, as the once sweet aroma of charcoal-smoked meat twisted in the air, heightened by a pungent bitterness of distrust. Illusions unleashed. Suddenly, a laugh rang out, mocking, sinister. Lucian emerged from the shadows, his presence suffocating as he wore a smug smirk, feeding off their chaos like a hoarder delights in treasures. "Welcome back, heroes," he taunted, his voice silkily smooth yet cold, slicing through the chatter like the sharp tang of lemon, leaving a sour taste on the tongue. "Your little jaunt has brought more than just the Paragon sphere. It has brought discord to your very ranks." As if on cue, dark shadows shimmered around the camp, morphing into illusory figures of their allies and friends, distorting their expressions into masks of rage and betrayal. Elena watched in horror as the phantoms loom overhead. Each whisper echoed her deepest fears as a smoky haze of distrust filled her lungs, stifling hope. "See how quickly your comrades turn against you." Lucian's laughter rang out again, mingling with the growing chaos. A single seed of doubt is all it takes to shatter illusions of unity. With every flick of his wrist, the air grew thick with the mundane sense of camp life. Smoked meats and freshly baked bread transformed into rotting refuse, the sweetness turning bitter as illusions warped reality. Even the texture of the rough-hewn seats around the campfire seemed to betray them, cracking and splintering under unseen pressure, mirroring their fractured trust. Reaching for unity, Elena felt a tight knot form in her chest as she watched friends lashing out at one another, driven mad by the illusions, the unsettled tastes of injustice and sorrow emerging as vivid memories of earlier times together flashed through her mind. No amount of flavors or scents could bring back those moments if they dissolved into this sea of chaos and distrust. Gathering her courage, she stepped forward, determination igniting a spark in her eyes. "Listen to me," she called, her voice wavering yet resolute. "These illusions are lies. They are designed to sow discord among us. We must remember our shared purpose, why we started this journey together." She centered herself, grounding her voice in the essence of their collective ambition, the visions of sunny mornings spent planning, the taste of roasted marshmallows shared around the fire, the camaraderie of pushing each other to grow stronger. "Think of all we've faced, the phantoms of our fears, and the darkness we overcame together. Are we to let Lucian's lies tear us apart?" The air began to shift, the acrid scents losing their grip. The delightful hues of camaraderie and trust flickered just beneath the surface. Mia stepped forward, her voice rising above the heated discussions. "Every moment we've endured together has shown us our strengths. These illusions are meant to distract us. We can't let our past pains dictate our future. They've already had enough power over us." Jake's eyes sparked with defiance. "We've fought hard for this unity. None of us stand alone. We depend on each other. Remember the victories we built upon." The phantoms began to waver, flickering as the voices of defiance grew stronger. Elena saw doubt dissolve like sugar in warm tea, satiating their spirits instead of overwhelming them. The turning tide. Encouraged by their shared determination, Elena took a deep breath, summoning the light of the Paragon sphere, its warmth a soothing balm against the fevered chaos enveloping them. The sweet and tangy notes of hope permeated the air, mingling with the savory scents of their comrades' meals, transforming back to a comforting meal. "Together, we carry the strength of our past, learn from it but not be shackled by it," she declared, her voice ringing out like a bell through the night. "We will not let this darkness define us." With newfound resolve surfacing, the members of their camp began to reclaim the essence of unity. Friends grasped each other's hands, eyes filled with understanding, as the taste of fear cracked under the laughter of shared victories. Lucian, realizing the tide turning against him, slashed his hands through the air in frustration, his illusions collapsing around him. The laughter faded like a distant dream, replaced by the comforting murmurs of unity returning, scents mingling, herbs and spices rekindling the hope that had been buried by panic. The shadows once controlling the camp flickered briefly, revealing allies standing resolute, united against not just Lucian's dark magic, but against their own shadows of doubt. Moving forward, as the last vestiges of Lucian's illusions dissipated, Elena felt a surge of pride fill her chest. They had confronted their fears of betrayal, and in doing so, had reinforced the bonds that connected them, like the fragrant flavors of a well-cooked meal shared amongst friends. "Now, we must prepare," Jake said, determination welling in his voice, the bitterness receding in the wake of their reaffirmed trust. "Lucian won't give up. We have the sphere, but he'll want it back, and he'll be angrier than ever." Elena nodded, a sense of purpose igniting within her. "Together, we'll confront him. Together, we'll forge a future free of his darkness." As they gathered around the fire, friends reaffirming their loyalty, the tastes of spices mingled in the air, reminding them of the strength of home. Optimism bloomed amidst the aftershocks of fear that had once seized them, and together they shared a vision for the journey ahead, a path paved with understanding, resilience, and an unbreakable bond they would carry against Lucian's dark machinations. And as the stars bloomed in the night sky overhead, the scent of hope filled the air, rich and fragrant like the promise of a new day, waiting just beyond the horizon. Chapter 7. The Heart of the Illusion. As Elena sat facing the flickering flames of the campfire, she felt an indescribable energy coursing through her veins, an electric hum that resonated with the essence of the Paragon sphere resting nearby. They had fought against Lucian's illusions and emerged, but now it was clear to her that the true power of the sphere wasn't solely in its radiant magic. It lay in the unity of those who wielded it. The revelation of unity. The warmth of the fire lent comfort to the tense atmosphere still tinged with remnants of doubt. Every ally sitting around the fire had brought their unique strengths to their journey, and it was upon those strengths that they would need to build together. Elena cleared her throat, the aroma of roasted meat and herbs wafting in the air blending with the strength of camaraderie. What we faced just now was not merely Lucian's magic, it was a test of our unity. The Paragon Sphere is a reflection of our collective strength and commitment. Murmurs of agreement spread among the group, eyes locked onto her with a mixture of curiosity and hope. Mia stepped forward, her hands gesturing expressively. The illusions that plagued us were rooted in our fears. We can't let our individual insecurities tear apart what we've built together. Jake, ever the steadfast pillar, nodded emphatically. When we combine our strengths and face our fears as one, these illusions can't hold us. We need to show Lucian that he can't isolate us with doubt, he said, determination carving his features with confidence. Tapping into individual strengths. With each beacon of agreement, Elena felt the energy of the Paragon Sphere shift, the vibrant colors glowing in sync with their resolve. Let's harness that energy, she urged. Each of our unique gifts can reinforce the sphere's power. Together, we can confront Lucian, not just with strength but with the clarity of our shared purpose. In the hushed night, they began to strategize, bringing forth their memories of the trials they had faced. Each participant in the circle shared their thoughts, revealing hidden truths and emotions that had been concealed under layers of fear. Mia spoke about her initial doubts regarding her magic, how they had once held her back, and how grateful she was for the unwavering support. Jake recounted moments when he felt he hadn't measured up to his role, the burdens he had felt from past failures. Even Elena shared her moments of vulnerability, when she feared being unworthy of leading them. As their stories flowed like the rich aroma of the stew bubbling near the fire, the bonds among them deepened. The unison of their voices transformed the shadows looming around their camp into mere wisps of haze. The spirits of the sphere. As they delved into their truths, the Paragon Sphere began to pulse with more than just light. The spirits within it seemed to awaken, swirling around them in ethereal forms, transforming their confidence into an almost palpable energy. Feel the unity, Elena whispered, raising her hands toward the sphere, now casting radiant beams of color across the camp. The spirits recoiled with joy, luminescent figures reflecting back their insecurities, intimately knowing every shadow. You are not alone, the spirits intoned, a chorus of soothing voices echoing in their minds. In unity, strength arises. In shared truth, power flourishes. Embrace your connections. Embrace your true selves. The illuminating warmth flooded through the group as the spirits surged, intertwining with their beings. Each member felt invigorated. The tension that once threatened to fracture them melted away in the warmth of recognition. The flavors of their shared meals mingled with notes of hope and resilience, drawing them together, filling their hearts with reaffirmed commitment. Launching into the confrontation. With renewed strength, the group gathered, standing shoulder to shoulder, a living, breathing testament to solidarity against the chaos Lucian might unleash. Let's confront him together, Jake urged. With the Paragon Sphere and our hearts united, we are an unstoppable force. As they stepped forward, the once festering doubts that lingered in the corners of their minds were snuffed out by the light of their friendships, shining bright and fierce. Elena raised the Paragon Sphere high above her head. It glimmered with energies that swirled in every direction. She could feel Goleth, the spirit of coordination, slipping through the fabric of their bond, melding with their resolves. We are a unified front. Lucian's illusions will not shatter us. They will only reveal the strength we possess when united. As they stood together, they felt the essence of the Paragon Sphere resonating through them, harmonizing with their collective instincts. The mingling sense of earth and flame coalesced into a powerful wave that surged around them, beckoning them to action. The confrontation. Without delay, they advanced through the camp, finding Lucian reigning over a swirl of shadows at the far end of the clearing, his figure imposing and dark, eyes glinting with malice. "Back for more, I see," he sneered, laughter laced with bitterness. "You think your bonds can save you? You are blind to your own weaknesses." Elena stepped forward, the sphere shimmering in her hands, colors unfurling like a vibrant flag of defiance. "We are not blind. We are stronger than you realize," she shouted, her voice ringing clear and true against the chaos swirling around him. "Your illusions cannot hold us. We will face you in unity." With that declaration, the spirits surged forward, swirling around the group as they prepared to confront Lucian and his treacherous shadows. The flavors of their resolve, sweet like honey, rich like earth, each one fortifying the air with an aroma of triumph. Together, they invoked the sphere's power, igniting a nexus of light that expanded outward in waves, illuminating the battle line drawn against Lucian's dark magic. A final showdown. As the spirits enveloped them, the air shimmered with possibilities, and the scent of burning sage, a symbol of purification, wafted through the clearing, ushering in a cleansing force against Lucian's darkness. "No more illusions," Elena shouted, pure fire in her voice. The radiant force emanating from the sphere collided with Lucian's shadows, dazzling the camp in kaleidoscopic light. For a moment, time stood still, the threads of fate intertwining before their eyes. The empowered spirits danced around the scene like fireflies, illuminating the darkness, revealing their path, the heartbeat of truth hammering against the chaos. And as unity and courage collided with the malevolence of Lucian's magic, Elena knew they were no longer just fighting for survival. They were fighting for a future, for the bonds they had forged through every trial, strength rooted firmly in the essence of their shared commitment. The stage was set, and they were ready to reclaim the light, the essence of their unity rising as the heart of the illusion shattered around them. Chapter 8. Dual Realities. As the radiant light from the Paragon sphere pushed against the enveloping darkness, the clearing began to tremble under Lucian's escalating concentration. With a sneer that twisted his features into a mask of triumph, he raised his hands and unleashed a torrent of energy, warping the very fabric of their reality. A realm of nightmares. Suddenly, the forest around them fractured like glass, each piece reflecting glimpses of their deepest fears. The trees twisted into gnarled forms, their roots spiraling like grasping fingers, while shadows morphed into grotesque figures, phantoms of both failure and loss swirling in an oppressive haze. Elena felt a chill slide down her spine as chilling whispers echoed around them, each one a reflection of her unspoken doubts. "You will never be enough," a voice crooned, a haunting echo of her childhood insecurities. "Your friends will abandon you, just like before." Mia screamed as a shadowy beast lunged toward her. It was the manifestation of her fear of inadequacy. Jake, battling against a wave of fire, was faced with visions of his past failures, moments where he felt crushed beneath the weight of expectations. Elena felt her heart race, torn between her desperate urge to save her friends and the pressing duty to confront Lucian. The chaotic whirlwind of nightmares engulfing them threatened to overwhelm her. Emotional turmoil. In her gut, she felt an emotional tempest, every moment spent forging connections, every laughter shared with Mia and Jake, all collided with the haunting memories and doubts. What if they did fail? What if by focusing on the sphere, she lost sight of those she cared for most? As the darkness roared to claim its due, Elena was plunged into her own memories, a desperate scramble through the clutches of her past fears, the moments where she believed she would never find acceptance. The visions surrounded her like an iron cage, squeezing the air from her lungs. "Choose." Lucian's voice was like thunder, shaking the very ground beneath them, excitement dancing in his eyes. "Will you save your friends, or push me back? Make your choice, and I will decide your fate." In that moment, the tangled webs of doubt threatened to ensnare her once again. Would choosing one over the other mean she failed in everything she swore to uphold? The torment of responsibility pressed heavily on her shoulders as tears threatened to spill from her eyes. The sphere as a beacon. Yet, as despair began to seep into her resolve, she recalled the warmth of her friends' laughter, their unwavering belief in her. The sparkle in Jake's eyes, the fierce loyalty emanating from Mia. These were affirmations of her choices, proof that they had stood together through thicker and thinner than she could ever imagine. Elena grasped the Paragon's sphere tightly, feeling its pulsating warmth, and the spirits within it began to hum in response, weaving light into their chaotic surroundings. The glow swelled, illuminating the shadows around them, pushing back against the distortions. "Lucian," she cried, her voice resonating with strength. "I choose unity. I choose them." With that declaration, Elena released the energy of the sphere, and a cascade of brilliant light surged forward. It intertwined with the darkness, revealing a deeper truth beneath the surface, the essence of who they all were, fiercely brilliant and unyielding despite the encroaching darkness. Self-identity and empowerment. As the light pushed back against the nightmarish environment, Lucian's distorted realm began to shatter, revealing hints of clarity beneath the dark facade. Shadows flickered, and mirages morphed into echoes of memories, glimpses of victory, strength, and unwavering bonds. Mia and Jake fought through their own nightmares, propelled by the very essence of Elena's choice. They felt her embrace of unity and mirrored her resolve, each stepping forward, reclaiming their identities against the darkness that sought to drown them. Elena stood firm at the forefront, emblematic of the hope they carried, connections forged from vulnerability that glimmered within the light. "We are not defined by our fears, and we will not be broken by your deceit," she shouted, the strength of her collective while shaping the light into a shield against Lucian's unsettling whispers. With each pulse of the sphere, the light spread outward, illuminating their surroundings and banishing the nightmarish forms that surrounded them. Threads of color intertwined, weaving a tapestry of courage and authenticity, alongside laughter shared and tribulations faced. The final confrontation. With a last, defiant gesture, Elena focused the sphere's energy, channeling their collective will to confront Lucian directly. With all her heart, she called upon the spirits entwined within the sphere, the embodiment of every ally she had stood with throughout their journey. "Together, we choose to stand as one." With that, she directed the radiant energy toward Lucian, fueling it with every word that represented the truth of their identities, their strength and vulnerability entwined in perfect harmony. The beam of light struck Lucian, who staggered back, shock and rage flickering across his face.
"No.
"This isn't possible," he roared, the shifting reality around him collapsing under the weight of their unity. A shattering defeat. As the light engulfed him, it illuminated the darkness, a brilliant eruption of vibrant colors cascading over his twisted visage. In that raw confrontation of power, the illusion shattered like smoke in the wind, revealing Lucian's true self, a being imprisoned by his own darkness, haunted by echoes of his own failures. With a final roar, Lucian was consumed by the energy they had forged together, an eruption of light illuminating the entire forest. It erupted outward, transforming the twisted trees back into their natural forms and illuminating the clearing in the golden hues of renewal and hope. And in that moment, the haunting fears that had once threatened to snare them receded into the shadows, tethered to the light of shared experiences and the strength they derived from unity. Rebirth of purpose. As the darkness dissipated, a calm returned to the world around them. The air grew still, imbued with vibrant energy suffused by hope and collective resolve, and Elena, Mia, and Jake found themselves standing together once more, their hearts alight with victory. "We did it," Mia remarked, a tear glistening on her cheek as she looked at the remnants of the battle. "We really did it," Elena nodded, the warmth of joy swelling within her chest. "No illusions can break us. We face our fears together, united as friends and allies." Jake clasped their hands tightly, a ripple of strength coursing through the trio. "This is just the beginning," he said, resolute. "We've faced darkness and emerged stronger, truer to ourselves than ever before. As the paragon sphere pulsed beside them, it glimmered with renewed energy, a beacon of hope amidst the woodland sanctuary. They had revealed the heart of the illusion within themselves, learning not just to fight against shadows, but to embrace their authenticity. Elena felt lighter now, the burdens of expectation and self-doubt shed like old skin. They were no longer merely individuals. They were a united front, an amalgamation of strength, resilience, and unwavering loyalty. The duality of their realities stood stark against the fading chaos, and they would carry the light into whatever adventures awaited them, ready to face the challenges ahead together as one. Chapter 9. A Shattered Mask. As the radiant light from the paragon sphere surged outward, the illusory realm began to fade around them, cracks forming in the twisted, grotesque environment. Shadows that once clawed at their consciousness dissipated, unraveling like threads pulled from a tapestry. The forest returned to its natural state, greenery vibrant and alive, but the remnants of Lucian's darkness clung to him like a tattered cloak. The unraveling illusions. Elena stepped forward, her heart pounding as she felt the energy of the sphere pulsating with each beat of her heart. She could sense the spirits of the sphere gathering around her, lending their support, illuminating the truth of the moment. "Lucian," she called, her voice steady, imbued with both courage and compassion. "You can end this. Let go of the darkness." At her words, Lucian staggered backward, caught between the fading illusions and the vibrant light, an internal battle raging within him. The arrogant facade he had worn so long cracked, giving way to something more vulnerable beneath. "Why would you even care?" Lucian spat, bitterness lacing his voice, but underneath it all was a tremor of uncertainty. "I have nothing worth saving." The tragic backstory. Elena pressed on, determined not to let fear shackle her voice. "You're not just an enemy, Lucian. You're a person shaped by your pain. You've lost so much, haven't you?" The shadows around him flickered with his emotions, memories flashing in the light, revealing fragments of a past marred by grief and loss. She could see the visions, a younger Lucian, smiling among friends, a family that had once embraced him. "Stop," he cried, a mixture of anger and fear boiling beneath the surface. But his resolve was faltering, the power of the sphere breaking down his defenses. "You are not defined by your loss," Elena said gently, reaching out with her own emotions. "You can choose to rise above it. You have the power to redeem yourself, to heal." Lucian grimaced, the walls of consciousness around him crumbling as he wrestled with a torrent of memories that revealed the truth of his descent into darkness. "They left me. They all left." Elena felt the tremors in his voice as he succumbed to the weight of his past. "I became what I was made to be. I had known light for so long. Why would I embrace it now?" Redemption versus revenge. In that vulnerable moment, Elena saw the truth behind the mask he'd worn for so long, the mask of villainy that had hidden a soul in torment. "Because we all deserve a second chance. I know the pain of loss, Lucian, and it makes us feel alone. It fed your anger and despair. But revenge won't heal that pain. It will only deepen the scars." As the reality continued to unravel, illuminating the shadows that encased Lucian, Elena could feel the weight of his sorrow mingling with her own experiences. Each painful memory became a thread tethering them together, a connection that transcended enmity. "I've hurt others," he confessed, bitterness mixed with desperation. "How can you offer me light when my hands are stained with darkness?" "Because even in darkness, we can find our way back to the light," she replied, her voice unwavering. "We are not our worst moments. We can choose who to be, and I believe you still have a choice. A moment of choice." In that suspended moment, something shifted within Lucian's eyes, the flicker of warmth breaking through the coldness. But he hesitated, doubt lingering in the air like a heavy fog. The light of the sphere pulsed in rhythm with Elena's heart, illuminating their surroundings further, transforming the remnants of the battle into a sanctuary of clarity. "You can either continue down this path of revenge and isolation, or step into the light, where healing waits," she urged, extending her hand towards him, a genuine invitation, no longer bound by enmity. The struggle waged in his eyes, deep-seated anger warring with an unquenched longing for redemption, for connection, for belonging. The shattered mask of his bravado faded into something more human. The climax of redemption. "I've lost everything," Lucian replied, his voice strained, cracks forming in his defensive armor. "I am nothing." "Elena, don't," Mia whispered from behind, sensing the weight of the moment. "He's dangerous." But Elena shook her head, the sphere illuminating the truth she felt in her core. "He was once like us, Mia. He was lost, just as we have been. We have a choice to save each other." In a moment that felt encapsulated in time, Lucian looked at her outstretched hand, uncertainty etched across his face. The illusory remnants of terror faded further, siphoned by the fierce glow of hope Alma had conjured. As the shadows around him began to dissolve entirely, Elena stepped forward, eyes filled with kindness that belied her earlier fear. "Choose the light, Lucian. Let go of the anger and join us. You don't have to be alone any longer." A heart awakened. Breath shaky and uneven, Lucian slowly extended his hand, shaking as he turned towards the gleaming energy of the sphere. At that moment, the memories of laughter and warmth flooded him, echoes of a life he could barely remember, a life that had once been full of promise. I want to try," he murmured, the words barely escaping his lips, yet they held the weight of a declaration long buried. As his palm met Elena's, a swell of light erupted from the sphere, the warmth flooding through them, a shared energy pulsing with potential and forgiveness. The darkness that had gripped Lucian's heart began to withdraw, colors spilling from the sphere into him, illuminating the very fabric of his being. Memories of loss twisted into threads of hope, knitting together what had once felt irreparably frayed. The healing light, the energy shielded all of them from consequences of his past, transformative, renewing, a blazing promise of healing as they stood united around him. Elena looked deep into Lucian's eyes, an unspoken understanding blossoming between them. "You can rebuild, step by step," she said softly, her voice resonant with all the trials they had shared. "Find your way back to who you truly are." As the gripping darkness unraveled and the final threads of fear disappeared, Lucian felt the first breath of acceptance bloom in his chest. "Thank you," he whispered, tears glimmering like the light surrounding them, shattering the anger that had once consumed him. The illusion of their pasts dissolved completely, revealing the bright tapestry of their future, the light not simply flickering now but blazing brilliantly, a testament to the power of choice, connection, and self-identity. Embracing the light. With the weight of the darkness lifted, the clearing sang with a harmony of renewed purpose and redemption. Together, they would face the coming dawn as allies forged in truth. Lucian straightened, a subtle shift within him signifying the renewal of spirit. Those shadows of his past remained etched in his memories. They no longer held power over him. Elena smiled, knowing this was only the beginning of his journey toward healing, a path they would walk together, guided by the unwavering light of the Paragon sphere. As they stood among the brightening skies, hearts intertwined, they were more than a band of allies. They were a family reborn, a reminder that even in the darkest depths, light can break through and forge bonds that transcend shadows, paving the way for hope and a brighter tomorrow. Chapter 10. Aftermath of Shadows. With Lucian defeated, the last echoes of the phantoms faded into the depths of the forest. The air, once heavy with fear, now brimmed with a tentative hope as the remnants of their illusions began to dissolve, revealing the raw beauty of the world beneath. Yet, the rifts left behind served as a haunting reminder of the manipulation they had endured. As the group gathered in the clearing, a sense of purpose surged among them. They knew that rebuilding would take more than just physical labor. Their hearts needed healing, too. Conversations flowed, recounting the moments of fear and uncertainty, but also of bravery and resilience. Together, they acknowledged the scars left by Lucian's control and pledged to support one another through the aftermath with unwavering resolve. Rebuilding together. Look around us, Elena addressed her friends as they stood in the heart of the clearing. We've weathered storms that tested us to our limits, but we emerged stronger. The rifts may remain, but they don't define who we are. Mia and Jake nodded in agreement, fueled by the shared determination that had grown through their shared trials. Together, they strategized not only how to repair the physical damage inflicted upon their homes, but also how to mend the emotional rifts among those impacted by Lucian's deceit. In the days that followed, the group worked tirelessly, gathering resources and fostering community spirit. They organized efforts to assist those who had lost their way during the chaos and held gatherings to celebrate their victory, understanding that unity was crucial for their collective healing. The council meeting. Soon, it was time for the council meeting, where allies from distant realms traveled to share their insights and reaffirm commitments. As they gathered in a large circle surrounded by tall trees, the atmosphere was charged with an amalgamation of voices and resolutions. Elena stood at the forefront, gathering her thoughts as she gazed at the diverse faces surrounding her. Today, we come not only to celebrate our victory over Lucian, but to build a foundation for the future. The remnants of his shadows may still linger, and the rifts he created remain open, but together, we can forge a path towards healing and strength. The crowd erupted into lively discussions, voices mingling as strategies sprouted amidst the growth of camaraderie. They shared concerns about the remaining rifts and crafted plans to mend them, determined to stand vigilant against any potential threats that might arise. "Let us not forget the lessons we've learned," said one of the allies. "Our strength lies in our unity. We must stand ready to face any darkness that threatens our world, a fresh start." As the council concluded, a sense of renewal washed over the group. With plans in place, they dispersed into the forest, ready to put their words into action. But as they worked, Elena felt a deeper shift within herself, a burgeoning desire that had taken root during their trials. That evening, as the sun dipped below the horizon and the stars began to twinkle above, Elena found herself wandering toward a secluded part of the forest. The air sang with a gentle breeze, and each step felt purposeful, drawing her closer to Finn. She spotted him sitting quietly on a log, gazing at the twinkling stars. The warmth of the scene enveloped her, and a flutter of anticipation danced in her chest. Finn noticed her approach and smiled, a look that sent a rush of courage through her veins. "Hey, you," he said, his voice soft against the night sounds. "I was hoping to see you." Elena felt the pull of their connection, the comfort he brought her becoming a beacon in the midst of healing. "Can we talk?" she asked, her heart racing with both excitement and vulnerability. They settled on the log together, and under the expansive night sky, they spoke of their hopes and fears. Each revelation deepened their bond, and the electric energy between them crackled in the air, intertwining their fates, crossing new horizons. As their conversation flowed, Elena found herself drawn in by Finn's gaze, the depths of understanding and sincerity reflecting back at her. There was something undeniably special about him, about how he had stood by her side through every trial, and now, amidst the beauty of the night, she realized her feelings for him had blossomed into something far deeper. As if sensing her thoughts, Finn reached out, brushing his fingers against hers. The touch sent a wave of warmth through her, and without thinking, she leaned closer, her breath mingling with his, creating an intimacy that left them both breathless. "Can I kiss you?" he asked, his voice almost a whisper, laden with heart-stopping sincerity. Elena nodded, her heart soaring. Their lips met softly, igniting a spark that quickly grew into a fire. Keys of uncertainty turned into doors of possibility as they deepened the kiss, a melding of vulnerability, desire, and trust. Embracing each other. With an instinctive understanding, their hands found each other's bodies, exploring the newfound intimacy with soft touches and tender caresses. Each brush of skin sent ripples of warmth through Elena's body, grounding her in the moment. Each kiss opened a door to new horizons. As they embraced the energy flowing between them, Elena realized this wasn't just about the physical. It was a culmination of connection, understanding, and trust forged through their shared experiences. It felt right more than right. It was as though they were two intertwined souls finding solace in the embrace of each other. In that tranquil clearing, surrounded by the whispering trees and millions of stars, the world faded away until it was just the two of them. Guided by instinct, they lay back upon the soft grass, losing themselves in the warmth of each other's arms, laughter mixing with soft whispers as the night became their canvas. A new chapter. The feelings they shared were profound and authentic, a first step into a new chapter of their lives entwined together. As intimacy deepened, they discovered not just each other's bodies but also the essence of their bond, a firm foundation built on understanding, respect, and love. As dawn broke beyond the horizon, illuminating the serene world around them, Elena felt a profound sense of belonging. The rifts might have remained along the path ahead, but for the first time, she felt equipped to face the future, hand in hand with Finn. Together, they would embrace the challenges of rebuilding, the challenges of life, and indeed, any darkness that dared to encroach upon their world. United by desire, resilience, and an unwavering commitment, Elena and Finn were ready to forge a new destiny, one filled with promise and light. Chapter 11. A Beacon of Hope. The council hall, once a place overshadowed by fear and uncertainty, now radiated warmth and potential. The Paragon Sphere, a magnificent artifact pulsating with a soft, iridescent glow, was officially placed at the heart of the hall. Its gentle luminescence symbolized hope and unity, a reminder of their perseverance in the face of darkness. As Elena stood in the center of the room, surrounded by her friends and allies, she could feel the powerful energy emanating from the sphere. Its light reflected within each person present, illuminating their faces with a sense of purpose. After countless battles fought against shadows, they had finally created something tangible to guide them forward. A moment of reflection. Elena took a deep breath, allowing the overwhelming emotions to wash over her. She closed her eyes, letting the memories of their journey flood her mind. She saw the moments of laughter and tears, the struggles that tested their resolve, and the bonds formed amidst chaos. Each scar, be it physical or emotional, told a story, one that she embraced wholeheartedly. With the Paragon Sphere shining brightly, she understood that their collective experiences were not just burdensome, they were the threads that knitted their community together. They had emerged not only intact but transcended to something greater, a tapestry of resilience woven with chapters of bravery and love. Building bridges. As the ceremony continued, Elena and her fellow council members reviewed plans for mentorship programs intended to foster collaboration between the Gloomlings and Guardians. This initiative was born from the recognition that, while they had different histories and abilities, their combined strengths could forge a brighter future. Together, we can build a bridge between our worlds, Elena stated confidently, addressing the crowd. Our experiences are not so different. We've all seen darkness, yet here we stand in the light. Let's embrace our differences and learn from one another. We can create a community where everyone thrives. Nods of agreement rippled through the audience. Excitement filled the air as ideas were exchanged, details ironed out, and partnerships formed. The Gloomlings and Guardians began to see each other not as adversaries, but as allies with a shared vision, a reality where collaboration reigned, dismantling long-held stereotypes and fears. A deepening connection. Amidst the conversations and laughter, Elena felt Finn's presence beside her. He had played a crucial role in shaping this moment. As they exchanged glances, she saw not only the confidence in his eyes but also the quiet strength that had always steadied her. Their relationship was evolving, every shared moment deepening the bond they forged in the aftermath of their trials. Elena reached for Finn's hand, intertwining their fingers, the simple gesture igniting warmth within her. He looked down at their hands, then met her gaze with a smile that made her heart flutter. "You're inspiring," he whispered, pride bubbling in his voice. "Witnessing everything you've done for us, for the Gloomlings. It's incredible." Elena smiled back, her heart swelling with affection. "We've done this together, Finn. I couldn't have done any of this without you." It was moments like these when she realized just how much she cherished him, how deeply their connection had transcended the initial spark. They were allies, partners, and now they were forging their own path, one step at a time. Quiet moments amidst the chaos. After the festivities wound down, Elena and Finn found a moment of quiet in a secluded part of the hall's garden. The gentle rustling of leaves and the soft chirping of crickets enveloped them, creating a serene atmosphere. "Can we sit for a moment?" Finn asked, gesturing to a bench under a canopy of stars. Once seated, he turned to her, his expression earnest. "Everything we've done, the battles we've fought, it's been monumental. But what we're building now, it feels different. It feels like hope." "Hope," Elena echoed, her voice barely above a whisper. "I've grown to appreciate it even more. It's not just a word. It's a force, a choice we make every day." As they sat in contemplative silence, Finn broke it with a question that had lingered in his mind. "What do you hope for, Elena?" "For us?" Taking a moment to gather her thoughts, Elena turned to face him. "I hope for healing, for our community and for ourselves. I hope for understanding, acceptance, and to keep building this connection between us. I want to explore what this," she gestured between them, "all of this means." Finn's gaze deepened, the sincerity in his eyes making her heart race. "I want that too. I feel like there's so much more to discover, together. I want us to build something lasting, something that can withstand anything." Stepping into the future. As the stars twinkled above, Elena leaned closer, the warmth radiating between them undeniable. Their lips met softly, the kiss carrying the weight of their shared experiences and the promise of something beautiful and profound. In that moment, the world around them faded away, leaving only the two of them bound by hope, love, and the ambitions of their hearts. They pulled apart, breathless, never losing sight of each other. "No matter what comes next," Elena whispered, "I know we can face it together." Finn nodded, squeezing her hand tighter. "Together always." In that tranquil garden, under the glow of the Paragon sphere casting a gentle light upon them, Elena felt the depths of their bond solidify. As they faced the dawn of their new journey, both as individuals and as partners, they were ready to embrace the challenges and triumphs that awaited them. A beacon of hope shined brightly at their center, guiding them forward into a future filled with endless possibilities, love, and togetherness. Chapter 12. The Art of Illusion. With the Paragon sphere illuminating their commitment to rebuild, the community threw itself into restoring what had been lost. Children laughed amongst the ruins they once called home, while adults patched roofs, planted gardens, and exchanged stories of resilience. The air was thick with hope and hard work, yet lurking within the shadows were whispers of a different kind of ambition. Amongst the remnants left by Lucian's downfall, his followers sat in hushed gatherings, plotting in secret. Inspired by the elusive shadows that had once dominated their lives, they rallied around a new ideology, a desire to master the dark arts that had both ensnared and liberated them. They no longer saw Lucian as a tyrant. Instead, his tragic downfall breathed life into their rebellious spirits. A new group emerged from the darkness, aptly named the Illusionists. With an enigmatic leader promising power and mastery over the shadows, they attracted those yearning for purpose in a post-Lucian world. The world of illusion, which had once been a tool of mental captivity, now transformed into a source of allure and fascination. A gathering of shadows. Word of the Illusionists began to ripple through the community, reaching the ears of Elena and her friends. Barriers of fear began to rise within her. Lucian's reign had shattered lives, and the last thing they needed was another uprising. Yet, moving beyond fear, they felt a duty to understand the motivations of these disillusioned followers. "We need to investigate," Elena said seriously, her voice resonating with determination during their regular meeting in the council hall. "If we can understand their motivations, we might prevent another dark chapter from unfolding. Ignoring them could be a mistake." Finn leaned closer to her, his brow furrowing thoughtfully. "But are we ready to confront shadows again? They might be drawing strength from the darkness, just as Lucian did." There's only one way to find out, Mia chimed in, her eyes glinting with adventurous spirit. We have to see what we're up against. Knowledge is our best weapon. Jake, who had been listening intently, nodded in agreement. We can approach this like spies. Gather intel, understand their goals. Transparency is key. If we can show them a better way, we might sway them from this dark path. Unearthing the illusionists. With a plan set in motion, the group decided to discreetly gather information about the illusionists. They observed from a distance, quietly following those who bore the mark of Lucian's followers. Each dark-cloaked figure that drifted through the shadows appeared shrouded in both mystery and renewed zeal. Through clandestine encounters and whispers, they learned of the illusionist space, a once-abandoned sanctuary hidden in the depths of the Gloomwood, a place where whispers of shadows still danced in the air. It had become a meeting ground for those eager to explore the darker side of their abilities. Under the guise of night, Elena, Finn, Mia, and Jake embarked on their investigation. They tread lightly, the underbrush crackling in the stillness of the evening air. With each step, Elena's heart raced, not just with the thrill of the unknown, but with the weight of responsibility that pressed upon her. As they neared the illusionist's hideout, an unearthly glow emanated from within, flickering like a candle disturbed by the wind. The air was thick with anticipation. They could hear murmured incantations and laughter echoing through the trees, a celebration of darkness that sent shivers down Elena's spine. The meeting of the minds. Once they reached a vantage point, they crouched behind bushes, peering into the dimly lit clearing. Shadows swirled around an assortment of figures adorned in dark robes, their faces painted with a mixture of excitement and determination. In the center, the leader stood with an air of authority, gesturing animatedly as he spoke about creating a new order, an order that embraced the shadows rather than feared them. "Join me, and we shall reshape our destinies," he proclaimed. "The darkness is not an enemy. It is a canvas upon which we can paint our dreams. Lucian's teachings do not have to die. They can evolve." The fervor of his words resonated with the crowd, their eyes alight with possibilities. Elena exchanged glances with her friends, surprise and concern reflected in each pair. "They're captivated by the idea of power," Mia whispered, her voice low. "They think they can control the darkness instead of being controlled by it." "We have to counteract this, show them the dangers," Jake insisted. "If they're rallying around this illusion of power, we need to remind them of the very real consequences that come with it, an unexpected encounter." Just as they prepared to retreat and discuss their findings, a figure slipped away from the gathering unnoticed. Elena's heart raced as she realized it was a familiar face, one she had hoped wouldn't fall to this darkness. "Cassie." Elena gasped, recognizing the former guardian, now shrouded in shadowy robes. Cassie, once an ally, had succumbed to the allure of the illusionists. She turned to leave but halted when she caught sight of Elena, her eyes wide with an unsettling mix of surprise and guilt. "Elena? What are you doing here?" Cassie's voice trembled, caught between her past allegiance and her current path. "We could ask you the same thing," Elena replied, stepping forward. "Cassie, this isn't the way. You don't have to follow them. Lucian's path led to suffering. Don't you remember that?" Cassie averted her gaze, her fists clenched at her sides. "You don't understand. This is about reclaiming our power. We can use it, we can control it. Why should we let fear dictate our lives when we can be strong?" Elena felt a spark of despair, but also determination. "It's not about strength, Cassie. It's about wisdom. Power without restraint leads to devastation. Trust me, we've seen it. This isn't a solution. It's a slippery slope back to darkness. A choice to make." The tension in the air was palpable as Cassie hesitated, torn between her former life and the promises of the illusionists. Elena stepped closer, sincerity in her voice. "We want to help you. Help all of you. We can create a world where shadows are not something to master, but simply part of who we are. We've started initiatives to bridge gaps, to show that we can coexist without succumbing to manipulation. Will you join us?" In that moment, Cassie's expression softened. emotions playing across her face as she grappled with Elena's words. The shadows around her seemed to flicker, less menacing, as she reflected on the trust and kinship she once held dear. Elena held her breath, hoping that Cassie would choose the light. "I need to think," Cassie whispered, her voice small but earnest. With one last glance, she turned back toward the gathering, leaving Elena and her friends standing amidst the shadows, caught between two destinies. Unraveling illusions. As Elena and her friends slipped back into the night, her heart ached. They had garnered some understanding, yet a daunting task lay ahead. The illusionists were no longer just a group of followers. They were individuals wrestling with their identities, stretched between darkness and light. "We need a plan," Finn murmured, wrapping an arm around her shoulder. "We need to find a way to show them what this path truly brings, just as we've shown others." Elena nodded, feeling the weight of their mission. "We'll need to reach out to Cassie again. If we can bring her back, it might spark something in the others. We need to show them that shadows can coexist with light, that they don't have to be ruled by fear." And as they made their way back through the forest, Elena could feel a new resolve blossoming within herself. The journey ahead would be uncertain, but it was essential. They would need to face the illusionists not with force, but with understanding, compassion, and unwavering hope. The art of illusion wasn't merely about power, it was about mastering one's own fate, and together, they would endeavor to teach that truth before darkness could claim another soul. Chapter 13. The Gathering Storm. The atmosphere in the community was thickening with uncertainty. As the remnants of Lucian's followers stirred in the shadows and the illusionists sought to rise from the ashes of his reign, Mia found herself grappling with unexpected changes of her own. The awakening of power. In the quiet moments after training, when the embers of lending back and forth flickered against the night sky, Mia began to notice something unusual. Her senses sharpened, and visions danced before her eyes. Vivid scenes that felt like memories yet belonged to no time she'd lived. At first, they were disorienting, ethereal shadows slipping through her fingers and the hushed whispers that seemed to echo from another realm. "Mia, you okay?" Elena asked one afternoon, pausing their training session. The trio was working on enhancing their abilities, Elena refining her connection to the Paragon sphere, Jake learning to balance his instincts, and Mia struggling to keep pace. The flickering reflections in her eyes told Elena something was amiss. Mia shook her head, uncertainty lacing her voice. "I don't know. It's like I'm seeing things that aren't really there, flashbacks maybe, but not mine. They feel important." Jake stepped closer, curiosity sparking in his eyes. "Could it be your powers? With everything happening, your latent abilities might be awakening in response." Elena nodded in agreement, concern evident in her expression. "With your heritage as a guardian, it's possible that your powers are intertwined with the very essence of these illusions, perhaps revealing truths hidden within the shadows." Training to harness. Determined to help her friend, Elena and Jake devised a training regimen tailored to Mia's newfound abilities. They explored meditation techniques, focused on grounding Mia as she navigated the initial confusion swirling within her. Over the next few days, they practiced in the forest, where the canopy danced with diluted sunlight, creating an ambience perfect for honing their skills. As Mia learned to control the glimpses she experienced, the intensity of her visions began to provide insights into the nature of illusions, how they could bend perceptions, manipulate environments, and even alter emotions. Yet, it wasn't long before those insights turned unsettling. One afternoon, while in deep concentration, Mia suddenly gasped, her eyes widening with an all-too-familiar shock. "Elena, Jake. I just saw Lucian. He was talking to someone. There was a shadow, but it flickered. It felt like a warning." "Warnings?" Jake echoed, wanting to probe deeper. "What do you mean? A warning against whom?" "I don't know," Mia replied, frustration creeping into her voice. "It was just a flash, but it was as if something, the shadows, are rising again. Maybe Lucian's allies are plotting something we don't see yet." The gathering shadows. As their training continued, the trio ventured further into the territory that Lucian once claimed, where whispers of his former allies had begun to surface, hinting at schemes that could threaten their fledgling peace. Shadows watched them from the trees, proliferating distrust within the gloomlings, a ripple effect of fear caused by the emergence of Lucian's influences once more. Elena suggested they take a closer look. If we can pinpoint where they might be gathering, we can uncover more about their plans. Maybe Mia's insights can help guide us. Guided by Mia's visions and the keen intuition that had developed through their training, they set out one dusky evening to follow traces of shadowy figures reported in the outskirts of the village. As they navigated through the underbrush, every rustle of leaves heightened their awareness of the dark tension lurking in the air. Encountering the unseen. As they drew nearer to what appeared to be a clandestine meeting spot, the glimmer of torches flickered in the distance, their flames dancing like predators poised to consume the night. They found themselves overlooking a gathering of hooded figures, the remnants of Lucian's followers. Fear and curiosity intermingled in Mia's chest as they squatted behind a thicket to eavesdrop. Lucian's vision was never lost, one figure declared, voice thick with conviction. His power lingers, and so must his legacy. We shall not hide in the shadows. We will rise and reclaim the darkness as our own. It will give us strength, another added. Have faith in the illusions we can create. They are the path to our resurgence. Mia's heart raced, realizing that their desire for power was entwined with a deeper understanding of shadows and manipulation, an intoxicating allure against which they had to fight. They're trying to bring back Lucian's reign, she whispered, shaking with unease. We have to get back before they notice us. The resurfacing distrust. Once back at the community hall, the three friends exchanged the heavy news with concern, yet felt the weight of the gloomlings' mixed reactions. Whispers spiraled around grounds like a whirlwind, trust fraying at the edges as fear rippled through the villagers. Mia, what if this is just another attempt to sway us? A gloomling shouted, anxiety spilling over amongst other village members. How can we trust you now that your powers are manifesting in the midst of such chaos? Doubt began to spread like wildfire. The same ability that had always been viewed as an asset was now scrutinized through the lens of fear, something that struck Mia to her core. I'm still the same. I'm here to help, she implored, voice shaking. You could be a spy. Like Lucian's followers, another voice chimed, igniting tension in the gathering. Elena stepped forward, her voice steady but empathetic. We're all feeling the strain of uncertainty. But mistrust among us will only serve to strengthen our enemies, whoever they may be. Mia's powers can help us understand what's to come. We need to unite against the forces that threaten our way of life. Even as she spoke, Elena could sense splashes of skepticism tainting her words. Would they turn against one another before facing true darkness? The rising storm. As whispers of suspicion echoed through the gathering, Mia felt the weight of her latent powers and their undeniable connection to the legacy of Lucian. Preparing for this storm felt more daunting than any physical confrontation she faced. She understood now that this was a battle for trust, a fight not just to harness abilities, but to prove that they could use the darkness to bring about light. With the gloomlings' distrust boiling just under the surface, the calm facade of their community was threatened. The shadow of Lucian loomed larger than they had anticipated, intertwining itself with not only the external challenges they faced, but the internal strife that could tear them apart. Mia glanced at her friends, determination igniting within her. We cannot let fear dictate us. We need to strengthen our bonds, train harder, and remain vigilant against whatever is rising. Faced with distrust, we have to show them that our unity, our willingness to face the storm together, can dispel the darkness. Elena and Jake nodded, the resolve settling deep within their collective core. Together, they would not only confront the manifestations of Lucian's legacy, but also mend the bonds of their community, a task that promised great danger and unforeseen obstacles ahead. And so, they readied themselves for the gathering storm, knowing the true battle began not only in the depths of shadows, but also within the hearts of those striving for light. Chapter 14. Illusions Unveiled. The streets of Etheria buzzed with an undercurrent of fear. News of the illusionists, along with their growing faction, began to permeate every corner of the community. Merchants exchanged wary glances, children clung tighter to their parents, and old tales of dark sorcery resurfaced with whispers of invoke fear. The community that had worked so hard to rebuild was now on the verge of shattering, frayed at the edges by uncertainty and distrust. Rising tensions. At the heart of this turmoil, Elena, Mia, and Jake convened in their usual spot, the council hall, which had once been a sanctuary of peace but now felt like the epicenter of rising tensions. Thick silence blanketed the room as they gathered with other leaders to discuss the escalating threat posed by the illusionists. The illusionists are not just shadows. They're wreaking havoc across neighboring territories, one leader asserted, his voice brimming with urgency. Reports are flooding in of disrupted trade, false accusations, and chaos sparked by their illusions. As unease washed over the room, Mia clenched her fists, blaming herself even though she knew it wasn't her fault. "We can't let fear dictate our decisions," she spoke up, her voice shaky yet determined. "We need to confront them, but we should find out who is really behind these disturbances." Elena sensed Mia's struggle, and with a nod of encouragement, she declared, "Let's not allow the illusionists' misdeeds to define us. We need to understand their motivations and intentions before we can devise a plan to restore peace." Jake leaned forward, an idea forming. "If a faction of illusionists is causing trouble, we must confront them directly. We need to gather as much intel as we can and find their hidden base. It might not just be about confrontation, but unraveling their plans." A murmur of agreement rippled through the assemblage, and they quickly made arrangements to set out on their mission. The journey begins. As dawn broke, the trio gathered provisions and prepared for the perilous journey toward the neighboring territories that had reported the illusionist disturbances. The air was thick with tension, both from the weight of their mission and the unspoken worry of what they might encounter. The sun rose, splashing colors across the sky, a stark contrast to the dark shadows they felt lurking between them. Steeling herself for the journey ahead, Mia attempted to quell her nagging self-doubt. She turned to her friends as they traversed the rough terrain, their camaraderie bolstering her confidence. "Whatever we face, I'll stand with you," she promised. Elena smiled fiercely. "Together, we're stronger than fear. We need to remind the people that we can withstand the illusionist spells and lies." Through dense woods and across quiet streams, they journeyed, their minds focused on the reports of a hidden base utilized by an aggressive faction of illusionists. After hours of hiking, they finally approached a rugged hillside rumored to harbor secrets. The hidden base. At dusk, they spotted the entrance to what appeared to be a cave system, the shadows stretching ominously around it. They felt the tension building, a sense of impending confrontation surging through the air. With a firm nod, they proceeded inside. As they stepped into the cave, they were overwhelmed by what lay before them. A vast expanse adorned with intricate illusionary traps. The very air felt charged, buzzing with dark energy as artful shadows danced along the walls, creating disorienting perspectives and reflections. Here, the illusionists had woven their craft into reality, a testament to their chaotic power. "This place is a minefield of illusions," Jake remarked, his eyes scanning the shimmering walls. "We must tread carefully." "I can sense the echoes of their magic," Mia added, closing her eyes to focus. An array of flickering images began to materialize, visions of betrayal, shadows mimicking movements, and voices whispering twisted truths. "It's all an illusion meant to confuse us," she stated grimly. "We need to stay grounded in our reality." They forged deeper into the hidden base, each step bringing them face to face with illusionary beasts, false traps, and fabricated landscapes designed to deter intruders. They had to work together. Elena called upon her affinity with the Paragon Sphere, Jake employed his instincts to sense deceptive paths, and Mia focused her burgeoning powers to neutralize their misleading surroundings. A test of friendship. As they ventured through the maze, the true challenge unfolded. The illusions began to exploit their fears and doubts, manifesting phantoms drawn from their past experiences. Mia found herself standing before an ethereal figure cloaked in shadows, an image of her former self, plagued by self-doubt and anxiety. "You think you can truly master your powers," the illusion taunted, its voice echoing in the cavern. Each word struck her with a pang of vulnerability. "Shut up," Mia shouted, struggling against the figure's grasp. "I am not you. I have strength. I have my friends." "Do you?" the illusion hissed, a laugh reverberating against the walls. "She is afraid of you, they are. You're the one leading them into chaos." Just then, she heard Elena's voice faintly echoing in the distance. "Mia, we're here. Don't let it take you." Mia seized the opportunity, summoning her courage. She confronted the illusion, unraveling the shadows with her own light. The figure flickered and evaporated into mist, breaking the stranglehold over her mind. Meanwhile, Jake battled his own fear, faced with visions of his childhood, memories of his brother lost to darkness. Struggling to retain his composure, he closed his eyes and remembered the strength he had found since then, calling out to Elena and Mia to anchor him in their friendship. "I'm not alone," he breathed, his resolve hardening as he dispelled the illusion. Elena found herself facing the specters of her past failures, memories of guilt resurfacing, reminding her of moments when she'd let her insecurities overshadow her leadership. With deep breaths and the steady warmth of the Paragon's sphere emanating from her, she found strength in her purpose. "I may falter, but I will rise again," she declared, dispelling the illusion with a fierce wave of resolve. The illusionist's gambit. As the trio regrouped, they shared determined looks of affirmation. They had faced their fears and emerged united, but the challenges weren't over yet. Deeper in the cave, they stumbled upon what appeared to be a gathering of illusionists, their conversation thick with scheming intentions. "Elena!"
"Look!"
Mia exclaimed, pointing to a gathering of cloaked figures plotting over a glowing map. They discussed ways to disrupt the peaceful exterior of Etheria, intending to create chaos that would allow the illusionists to rise unchallenged. "We have to stop them," Jake urged, adrenaline surging through his veins. With a plan formed, the trio utilized the shadows and the cover of the cave to approach the base of the illusionists. But before they could make their move, an unseen trap was triggered, shrouding them in an array of light and shadow. Illusions blared around them, creating confusion, but the trio held tightly to each other, each recognizing the bond that had emerged stronger than any trickery. They navigated the chaos, countering with their combined strengths, while Mia focused her powers to amplify Elena's control of light through the sphere. Facing the illusionists, eventually, they emerged into the heart of the gathering. The leader of the faction, cloaked and commanding, noticed the disruption. "Intruders," he bellowed, contempt painting his features. "You think you can disrupt our plans?" Elena stepped forward, her voice filled with confidence. "Your time of deception ends here. Do you not see the power of trust and unity?" "We do not fear you," Jake challenged, his fists clenched. "The illusions you wield will only lead you to your own demise," Mia added, her newfound control allowing her to weave light into the shadows crowding the cave. "We've defeated your tricks. We won't let fear rule us." A battle erupted as illusionists summoned shadows and twisted illusions around them. The cave erupted with chaos, the air thick with tension as magic crackled amidst shifting landscapes. Mia, utilizing her powers amidst the conflict, found strength in her identity, guiding her friends as they deftly maneuvered through the chaos. Against the tide, a fierce clash ensued, their bond illuminating the darkness around them. Even when an overwhelming illusion threatened to engulf them, they worked in tandem. Elena's light, Jake's instincts, and Mia's emerging strength formed a beacon cutting through the haze. As the conflict raged, their synergy began to tip the tide. The illusionists faltered, their once certain persevering slipping away as doubt marred their illusions under the trio's unwavering resolve. Eventually, with a powerful burst of light, Mia combined her energy with Elena and Jake, dispelling the illusionary chaos that threatened to consume them. The cloaked figures stumbled back, realizing they were losing ground against a unified force of hope. "Enough!" the faction leader shouted. "You may have opposed us here, but our influence won't be so easily extinguished. We will rise again, unraveling the illusions. As the illusionists dispersed into the shadows, the trio stood their ground, finally free from the illusions that had clouded the cave. With the threat temporarily subdued, they began to explore the remnants of the hidden base, gathering intel that could prove valuable to the larger fight against the illusionists. Despite their power, we showed them what true strength lies in unity, Elena stated, a sense of calm settling over them. Mia, fueled by a newfound confidence, smiled. I learned that I can control my abilities, but our bond is what really protects us. We don't need to fight alone, Jake added, resting his hand reassuringly on her shoulder. Our friendship is our greatest weapon. Together they prepared to leave the underground lair, knowing they had not only thwarted a dangerous faction but strengthened their own commitment to face the gathering storm. The shadows of fear still hovered over Etheria, but they would meet it with light, unwavering resolve, and the knowledge that, even amidst chaos, hope could be unveiled. Chapter 15. Through the Veil. The echoes of their previous confrontation lingered in the air as Elena, Mia, and Jake navigated deeper into the illusionist's hidden base. What had begun as a straightforward mission to confront a troubling faction now spiraled into an unsettling journey that threatened to unveil long-buried secrets about Lucian and the dark energy still tethered to Etheria. Uncovering the agenda. As they moved cautiously through the dimly lit corridors, the trio stumbled upon a chamber filled with ancient tomes and peculiar artifacts that pulsed with an ominous energy. Shadows flickered along the walls, illuminating inscriptions etched into the stone, incantations that hinted at dark rituals. "What is this place?" Mia whispered, trepidation dancing in her voice. "This must be the heart of their power," Elena replied, eyes scanning the shelf brimming with artifacts. "They're not just illusions, they're conjuring dark magic, possibly even using remnants of Lucian's legacy." As they delved further, they overheard whispered voices beyond the chamber door. The illusionists were gathering, their hushed words slicing through the tension like an arrow. "We will resurrect Lucian," one voice proclaimed, marked by fervent conviction. "His power is vital. The artifacts of old have weakened over time, but combined with our magic, they can bring him back." Jake's blood ran cold. This isn't just about chaos. They're attempting to revive Lucian. We have to stop them. Confronting the illusionists. With a shared nod, they pushed through the door into the main chamber, confronting the illusionists mid-discussion. The room fell silent, all eyes drawn to the trio, their faces a mix of incredulity and anger. "Fools," the faction leader sneered, emerging from the shadows. "You think you can thwart us? Lucian's return is inevitable, and his dark legacy will reign anew." As the illusionists began to cast their spells, shadows coalesced into shifting figures around them. The trio sprang into action, drawing on their training and the bond they'd forged through adversity. Elena called forth the light from the Paragon sphere, creating a blinding barrier to push through the illusory darkness. "Stay in formation," she shouted over the crackling energy. Mia and Jake stood firm, using their abilities in tandem. Jake's honed instincts allowed him to read the room, identifying the strongest illusionists, while Mia wielded her newfound powers to unravel their deceptive spells and shelters. Together, they weaved through the chaos, embodying strategy over brute strength, preparing for a clash of wills. The battle begins. A fierce battle erupted, with magic intertwining in the air, crafting an intricate tapestry of light and shadow. The illusionists threw swirling illusions at them, attempting to disorient and distract, but Elena, Mia, and Jake stood resilient, their connection grounding them against the storm of chaos. "Focus on the leader," Mia called, summoning an intricate divide of light to fracture the illusions surrounding them. They maneuvered through a tempest of flickering shadows, seamlessly sidestepping the deceptive attacks aimed at them. Elena engaged the illusionist leader, countering the dark magic with radiant beams of light technology from the sphere. "We won't let you resurrect him." Lucian's reign was nothing but tyranny. In those critical moments, Jake darted between opponents, dismantling their focus with swift maneuvers. "You're just pawns in Lucian's game."
Don't you see?
You'll only fail again. Amidst the fray, hearts pounded with unyielding camaraderie. Together they fought as one, countering dark spells with brilliant glimmers of hope. A pivotal moment. But just as victory seemed within reach, the illusionists conjured a powerful dark counterspell, causing the ground to tremble and shadows to loom even larger. The chamber quaked as dark energy surged, threatening to engulf them all.
Mia, now!
Elena shouted as she pushed against the pooling darkness, struggling to stay grounded. Feeling the bond with her friends surge within her, Mia closed her eyes, centering her energy. "I see you," she cried, channeling her power through the haze of illusions. In a moment of clarity, she tapped into the true essence of her abilities, casting a radiant light that split the darkness in two and shattered the threatening spell into harmless shards. A fiery explosion of light erupted, forcing the illusionists back, their plans unraveling right before their eyes. "No," the leader shrieked, tumbling back as their illusions faltered. "We won't allow this to happen," Jake proclaimed, unwavering in the face of danger. "Lucian's return ends here." Learning the source of power. With the chaos dissipating, the remaining illusionists, now expressing fear and desperation, began to retreat. They knew their ambitions had been thwarted, but not without resistance. "Fools! You may have won this battle, but you have no idea what power lies beneath," the leader warned, fear edging his voice. "The artifacts, the source of our power, are scattered, intertwined with realms long forgotten. Lucian's influence is etched in every piece." Mia's heart raced, the implications dawning on her. "What do you mean?" "The lost relics," the ally among them stammered, eyes darting nervously. "They're capable of channeling Lucian's essence, awakening dark forces that can reclaim our realm and amplify our magic beyond your wildest dreams." Elena exchanged concerned glances with Mia and Jake. "How can we stop it?" "Discover the relics, collect them, and you'll unveil the true power that lies within them," the ally hissed, desperation leaking through his bravado. "But warn your people, for even now, the darkness emerges anew." The path forward. With the illusionists retreating into the depths of shadows, the trio stood determined amidst the remnants of the battle, acknowledging the gravity of what they had uncovered. The fight against Lucian's enduring influence was not just a task to be faced today, it was a war that would stretch far into the future. "We need to inform our community of the danger," Elena said solemnly, realizing that they had stumbled upon something far greater than they anticipated. Mia nodded, newfound clarity piercing through her earlier self-doubt. "And we'll work together to uncover these relics before they can be used to resurrect Lucian." "I won't let fear dictate us," Jake added, a fierce determination lighting his eyes. "We're stronger together, and we'll face whatever darkness arises." As they exited the hidden base, the trio felt the weight of their discovery settle over them. They were not only fighting against the shadows, but wading into a darkness steeped in forgotten legacies. Their journey through the veil had unveiled not just the illusionists' malicious agenda, but also the deeper shadows looming over their world. With their friendship forged in battle and renewed purpose alight in their hearts, the trio stepped forward, ready to face the challenges that lay ahead, determined to protect Etheria from the shadows that once threatened to consume it. Chapter 16. Allies Among Shadows. As the trio returned to Etheria, the atmosphere was thick with uncertainty. The tension of their encounter with the illusionists weighed heavily on their shoulders. They had come to understand that the threat of Lucian's resurrection was not just a battle against darkness, it was a test of unity, courage, and the power of redemption, uniting old foes and allies. With the news of the illusionists' agenda reaching the council, Elena, Mia, and Jake hurried to the gathering of community leaders, where anxious faces awaited them. The remnants of war and the fear of darkness had driven wedges between long-standing allies. "We must gather all factions, friends and foes alike," Elena declared, her voice resolute. "The threat we face requires a united front. If we can't put aside our differences, Lucian will rise again, and we'll all be doomed." Murmurs erupted through the crowd, uncertainty and fear clouding the minds of many. Old rivalries surged as factions reminded one another of grievances past. Mia stepped forward, her heart pounding, but determination igniting her spirit. "Listen," she implored, sensing the rising tension. "The illusionists don't care about our divides. They are using our fears against us. If we band together, we can face this darkness and perhaps even save some of those who have been misled by the illusionists' lies." Jake, adding his voice to bolster Mia's, spoke passionately. "When we faced the illusionists, it was teamwork and trust that guided us. We cannot continue to let the shadows of the past dictate our actions." The call for negotiation. The council's room was filled with hesitant glances until a few members began to voice support. Some began to recall moments when jealousy and competition had overshadowed their unity, while others clenched their fists against the shadows of the past. Finally, a collective consensus emerged that they needed to form a new alliance. "We must send out envoys to the illusionists willing to listen," Elena proposed, taking charge of the fragile momentum. "If we can reach those who harbor doubts about this resurrection, perhaps we can salvage their redemption. It's a long shot, but we must try." Mia nodded, a flicker of hope igniting. "We can't give in to the darkness. We need to offer understanding, a chance to change. For those who've lost their way, we need to demonstrate that light prevails." As the council made plans to address their old adversaries, the seriousness of their actions settled upon the trio. They understood the risks. Many illusionists had chosen darkness willingly, but they also knew that not all had. A journey of redemption. With the groundwork laid for their approach, Mia, Jake, and Elena prepared to embark on a carefully planned negotiation mission. They would split into pairs to facilitate open conversations and gauge the willingness of various illusionists to seek redemption. As the sun dipped below the horizon, casting the world in hues of gold and crimson, they ventured outward, facing the unknown with steely resolve. The truth they carried, that only through understanding could hatred and mistrust be pushed aside, would guide them. In the shadows of Etheria, they encountered an illusionist named Lyra, a former ally who had fallen into chaotic magic with her followers. Lyra, with her wild hair and striking gaze, had once stood with many of the community's leaders when Lucian's influence first darkened their world. The negotiation. When they sought her out, the first meeting was tense. She stood guard against them, her aura crackling with ambivalence. "Why should I listen to you?" she demanded, bitterness swimming in her eyes. "You come here representing those who turned their backs on us." "You've been misled, Lyra," Elena responded, her voice steady. "The illusionists might think that Lucian is the answer, but he was a tyrant, a manipulator who thrived on division. You know this." Lyra hesitated, glancing away. The flickers of doubt danced across her face. "What do you know of my pain? We live in shadows because that's the only way we've known to survive." Mia stepped in, compassion illuminating her tone. "We're not asking for you to forget your struggles.
We truly want to understand.
There's a chance for redemption, to turn your talent into a force of light rather than darkness." In this moment, a crack began to show in Lyra's wall of defenses. You want to help us? After everything?" "Absolutely," Jake affirmed. "But first, you must see that returning to Lucian's influence will only bring suffering. Together, we could prevent more pain in the future." The tension in the air hung thick, but it felt like a solid step towards a delicate truce. Gathering support. Over the following days, their efforts expanded, reaching out to various illusionists left in the wake of Lucian's dark legacy, those who remained conflicted or felt trapped by their burgeoning powers. One by one, more illusionists nodded in hesitant agreement to the trio's plea, realizing that their true strength lay not in darkness, but in the possibility of unity. "They won't yield easily," Jake warned during their meetings. "We'll need a plan to not only offer understanding but protect ourselves from those who may resist us." Elena nodded, her mind crafting strategies. "We can stage a small demonstration, a showcase of the power of unity and cooperation, an opportunity to show them that the cycle of darkness can be broken." Mia agreed, her heart swelling with determination. "Let's gather those ready to fight back against the shadows into a coordinated alliance, a coalition that embraces light, facing resistance. Yet, resistance remained. Not all illusionists were swayed by pleas for redemption. Those deeply intertwined with Lucian's dark magic were steadfast. In a climactic turn, Lyra suddenly spoke up during one of their meetings, revealing crucial intel. Not everyone will listen. A splinter faction remains fiercely loyal to Lucian's ideals, led by one of his former lieutenants. They're preparing to retaliate against any dissent, planning to sabotage our efforts. The weight of this revelation fell upon them like a storm. "We can't let this faction operate unchecked," Mia whispered, dread pooling in her stomach. "We need to show that hope exists, not just for the illusionists, but for Etheria as a whole," Elena urged, her gaze resolute. The road ahead. With the knowledge of a potential fray looming overhead, their mission took on new urgency. The trio forged onward, telling allies and foes alike about the potential for cooperation between light and shadow, urging their community to prepare for what lay ahead. The fragmented worlds began stitching themselves together as those who hadn't previously seen it began to grasp the power of what they were building, a collective against the darkness, one that refused to yield. As they made plans to host a gathering that would showcase their newfound alliances and merge strengths, they understood that their journey was far from over. The path of reconciliation was treacherous, shadowed by threats and fear, but it lit a fire of hope within each of them, underscoring their commitment to face whatever dark forces awaited them on the horizon. Through unrelenting spirit and the willingness to bridge division, the trio vowed to wield their light against the veiled dangers of the past and defy the darkness threatening their world anew. Chapter 17. Convergence of Realms. As Etheria faced mounting doubts and the impact of strained alliances, a troubling shift began manifesting within the very fabric of their worlds. The boundaries that separated light from shadow grew thinner, threatening not just the stability of Etheria, but the essence of existence itself. The weakening barrier. The serenity of Etheria was suddenly disturbed by eerie disturbances. The skies darkened with ominous storm clouds, and strange tremors rippled through the earth. Elena, Mia, and Jake found themselves gathered beneath the ancient Oak of Unity, a sacred site representing hope and cohesion. Its leaves rustled frantically as they discussed the escalating situation. "It feels like the very essence of our realms is fraying," Elena said, a fierce determination etched across her forehead. "If we don't act quickly, the balance could collapse completely." Mia shuddered as the memories of their encounters with the illusionists flooded back. Darker thoughts crept into her mind. What if they succeed in their plans? The resurrection of Lucian could lead to a catastrophic merging of light and shadow. We'd lose everything we've fought for. Jake, usually the optimist of the group, felt unease creeping into his chest. "We need to find out what's causing these shifts. The weakening barrier indicates something more insidious is at play. We can't allow Lucian's influence to gain further strength." Emergence of strange creatures. As they deliberated the gravity of their situation, supernatural disturbances began to manifest. Strange creatures, twisted amalgams of light and shadow, started appearing, terrorizing the villages. They moved with an unsettling grace, blurting in and out of visibility, with glowing eyes reflecting their eldritch nature.
Ack!
"Get back!" a villager screamed, barely dodging a creature that lunged toward him in a shimmering haze. The once peaceful marketplace transformed into chaos as townsfolk ran in terror. Elena, sensing danger, stepped into action. "We can't let them wreak havoc. We must protect our people while we investigate these manifestations." Mia began gathering magic from the air around her, focusing on the burgeoning light within her. "I'll try to contain them. We can drive them back to where they came from." Jake stepped up behind her, channeling his courage and keen instincts to help fend off an approaching creature. "Let's form a barrier while Mia redirects the energy. Together, we can push them back." Witnessing the consequences. As they repelled the shadowy manifestations, the group caught flashes of horrifying imagery that flickered before their eyes, glimpses of a world where chaos reigned, where light and shadow clashed incessantly. The visions revealed the severe aftermath of Lucian's reign, Entire cities lay in ruin and despair, swallowed by a darkness that spread like wildfire. Lucian's influence is extending far beyond what we believed, Jake panted, gripping his staff tightly. These aren't just random creatures. They're vestiges of his dark magic. Watching a twisted creature dissolve into mist only to be followed by an army of others ready to unleash their havoc, Elena felt a righteous rage swell within her. We cannot allow this to happen. We have to strengthen our resolve and focus our efforts. Mia felt a surge of guilt creeping into her heart. If only we had moved faster. If only we hadn't hesitated to unite old foes and allies. A nudge towards urgency. Fueled by the urgency of their circumstances, the three became even more determined to confront the emerging threats. They recognized that their past mistakes, hesitation, fears, and headwinds against unity could no longer dictate their actions. Elena turned to her friends, determination burning in her eyes. This is our moment. If we let Lucian's influence manifest into physical threats, we jeopardize all of Etheria. We must gather our allies and take a stand now. Jake added fervently, echoing her conviction. We can't let our fears dictate our actions any longer. This fight isn't just for our realm, it's for every creature living in its light. We need to address the growing instability, or the resurrection ritual will succeed unchecked. Mia clenched her fists, feeling a surge of courage. Then we need to mobilize the coalition we've gathered, call upon both the illusionists willing to listen and the allies of light. We need everyone, and we need them prepared to confront the shadows. Preparing for confrontation. As night fell over Etheria, the group began to draft a plan. They called upon their allies, both old and new, invigorating everyone with tales of the immediate peril they faced. The urgency of their message ignited a passion within the community. For once, they felt the power of unity, transcending their previous grievances. In this moment of convergence, characterizations began to deepen. Elena emerged as an undeterred leader, inspiring faith among her peers while learning to cope with the weight of responsibility that leadership entailed. Her fierce determination was matched by an empathy that flourished through each interaction with those she sought to unite. Jake, known for his courageous spirit and optimism, began to show signs of inner struggle facing the possibility of failure. With the threat looming, he learned the importance of vulnerability and honesty in his relationships, grappling with his fear while pushing to uphold hope. Mia, once filled with self-doubt, found her voice forging ahead with unwavering conviction. With every experience, she embraced her innate power, realizing the capability of her magic was intertwined with her connections to others. She emerged not only as powerful but also as a beacon of compassion, willing to guide even lost souls back to the light. As the winds howled outside, echoing the chaotic energies swirling around them, the group gathered their allies to strengthen their ranks. They understood that their battle was not only a fight against physical monsters, but also a stand against the very essence of fear and division that had plagued their lands. Facing the gathering storm, as dawn approached, the first light of day cut through the darkness, illuminating their resolve. The coalition gathered at the heart of Etheria, signaling a declaration against the threats that awaited them. The convergence of realms was imminent, and with it, the manifestation of threats born from ancient grudges and work to reclaim the unity they all so desperately needed. Determined to shield Etheria, the trio stood at the forefront alongside their newfound allies, ready to face the shadows converging on their world. A unity forged in light to combat the darkness stirring beyond the veil. The stakes had never been higher, but with the flame of hope ignited in their hearts, they charged forward into the fray, prepared to confront whatever awaited them. Chapter 18. The Final Confrontation. The air around Etheria hummed with anticipation as the day of reckoning drew near. Allies gathered, a vibrant tapestry of former enemies turned friends. Reformed illusionists and gloomlings stood side by side, united in a single cause, to thwart the resurrection of Lucian and banish the looming darkness threatening their existence. Preparation for battle. As dawn broke, painting the sky in hues of hope, Elena stood at the forefront, surveying the gathered forces. The remnants of old divisions still flickered in the air, and she knew that their first challenge was ensuring that everyone understood and embraced their common purpose. Today, we fight not as illusionists or gloomlings, but as Etherians. Elena spoke, her voice strong and resonant. We have all suffered loss, and we have all made mistakes. But today we stand as one, ready to end the cycle of revenge that has haunted us for too long. Her presence inspired confidence in those gathered, their trepidation slowly melting away as they focused on the flickering flame of unity ignited within them. Jake and Mia moved through the crowd, offering encouragement and strength where needed, embodying the hope that Elena had awakened. Jake approached a group of gloomlings, their faces still shadowed by distrust. I know what it's like to feel lost and divided. I've been there, he confessed, drawing from his own battles. But today we'll forge a new path, together. Let the light we carry guide us. Mia, with empathy in her heart, interjected, we all have the power to change, to heal, and to protect. Let's show Lucian that our magic, combined, is unstoppable. Light and shadow can coexist. As they rallied their forces, the alliance between the diverse factions began to solidify, a testament to the growth they had all undergone. The confrontation begins. As they approach the site where Lucian's resurrection was to take place, a dark cavern bathed in ethereal shadows, the atmosphere shifted ominously. Wisps of darkness flickered around, swirling like an angry storm, signaling the presence of the malevolent forces at play. Suddenly, Lucian's acolytes emerged from the shadows, desperate, determined, and blinded by ambition. Seeing their former allies standing united, their faces twisted in confusion and rage. You think you can stop us? One of the acolytes shouted, his voice dripping with disdain. Lucian's power is our destiny. Elena stepped forward, unfazed. Your destiny was shaped by fear and revenge, but we're here to offer a new choice. With her hand raised, she summoned a shimmering barrier of light that pulsed with energy, symbolizing the strength of their unity. With a roar, the battle began. Magic collided in brilliant bursts of color as spells lit up the darkened caverns. Epic showdown. Magic, friendship, and sacrifice. The battle was frenetic. Elena led the charge against the acolytes, wielding her magic without hesitation. Each spell she cast drew upon the collective strength of her allies, amplifying their power as they moved in unison. Mia found her footing amidst the chaos, harnessing her magic to protect her friends while launching counterattacks. She channeled her energy through the shadows, turning them into shields against the darkness and guiding wayward gloomlings toward light. Each spell she cast echoed the lessons she had learned about connection and purpose. Jake, ever the beacon of optimism, found himself at the center of the fray, rallying the faltering forces of their coalition. Stand together. We are stronger than you realize, he shouted, lending his strength to those who wavered. With each act of courage, he discovered a newfound depth to his own power, an unyielding spirit that fueled their collective will. As the acolytes fought back fiercely, one was able to break through the throng, wielding a magical artifact aimed directly at Elena. In an instinctive act of protection, Jake intercepted the blow, feeling the rush of magic howling through the air as it struck him. He staggered but remained resolute, unwilling to let fear darken his heart. Jake! Elena cried, her heart racing as she rushed to his side. But he pulled himself up, determination igniting in his eyes. This ends now. I will not let you face this darkness alone. With his sacrifice amplifying the bonds of friendship, Elena's magic surged to life. Together, they formed a radiant beam of light that pierced through the shadows, weakening Lucian's hold over the acolytes. The stalemate emphasized the stakes. This was about more than just defeating a foe. It was about love, loss, and the right to rise above pain. With sacrifices made, a realization settled upon the battlefield. Their true power lay in their unity and willingness to protect one another. The climax, confronting Lucian. Just as the tide began to turn, a rift opened in the cavern, revealing Lucian himself, resurrected and emanating dark power. His eyes were void, vast emptiness, hunger for control. The ground trembled beneath his presence as shadows coiled at his feet, echoing the chaos erupting around him. "You think you've won?" Lucian's voice boomed, deep and resonant. "Your ragtag alliance is nothing against my true power." Elena stepped forward, heart full of conviction. "Your reign of terror ends here, Lucian. We've learned, we've grown, and our hearts are stronger than your darkness. You can't overshadow our light." The final confrontation erupted as Elena, Jake, and Mia led their united front against Lucian. Each spell woven together manifested the hopes of Etheria, the essence of their sacrifices illuminating the space with blinding radiance. Lucian fought back with ferocity, realms of shadow and despair striking against their shared light. However, despite his might, the combined forces of camaraderie and sacrifice steadily pushed him back, unraveling the grip he had on the hearts of his followers. The moment of choice. In the climax of the battle, as the light threatened to engulf Lucian completely, he took one last desperate action. He unleashed a maelstrom of darkness, trying to pull them into despair. But in that moment, Jake remembered the lessons of unity. They had to confront the darkness within themselves as well. Together, he bellowed, reaching out to grasp the hands of both Elena and Mia. As their hands connected, an overwhelming surge of magic flowed through them. They summoned the memories of their shared struggles, the bonds that had been forged through sacrifice, loss, and hope. This connection became a stark reminder that even in the shadows, they could illuminate the path forward. With one final, fervent cry, they unleashed their unified magic, a brilliant wave of light that shattered the darkness surrounding Lucian, rooting out the core of his malevolence. The blast of light engulfed the cavern, echoing with the essence of hope, a powerful spark that resonated through every corner of Etheria. As the waves of energy cascaded, Lucian's form flickered, revealing the vulnerability beneath the shadows. As the light surrounded him, for the first time, doubt crossed his features. What is this? In that pivotal moment, Lucian faced the reality of his choices, the sacrifices made by those standing against him. For all the pain he had caused, a choice lay before him: remain enshrouded in darkness or embrace the light. "Let go," Elena's voice, calm yet powerful, reached through the tempest. "You can choose to break the cycle. You don't have to be alone anymore." Conclusion: freedom and a new dawn. With a roar, Lucian fought against the light but ultimately succumbed, dissipating into the luminous energy pulsing around him. As darkness receded, the storm that had brewed within Etheria calmed, illuminating the realm with a renewed brilliance. The coalition stood together, faces reflecting relief, hope, and a deep sense of accomplishment. The battle was won, but it became clear that their journey was not just about vanquishing darkness. It was about healing the rifts between their worlds, cultivating understanding, and embracing their shared destiny. Elena, Jake, and Mia realized that the sacrifice of one was not just a loss, it had become a cornerstone for their collective growth. With Lucian's defeat, they had an opportunity to rebuild, to weave the fabric of Etheria anew, ensuring that darkness would never overshadow the light again. Together, Elena said, more certain than ever of their power, "Let's create a new legacy." In the aftermath of the climactic battle, as the sun began to rise once more, illuminating the sky with colors of dawn, they knew their journey was far from over. United, they would face whatever came next, healing their world and each other, embracing the light as their guide in a world forever changed. Chapter 19. Threads of Unity. As the echoes of the battle faded, the first rays of dawn painted Etheria in a tapestry of golden light, revealing a landscape transformed by conflict and the vibrant energy of renewed unity. The air thrummed with the essence of magic, a reminder of the extraordinary bonds forged during their tumultuous journey. It was a new beginning, woven together by shared experiences, sacrifice, and the undying spirit of hope. A celebration of resilience. In the heart of the once chaotic battlefield, the alliance of former illusionists and gloomlings gathered, their faces illuminated by the dawn's embrace. Elena stood under the majestic arch of the twilight oak, an ancient tree steeped in enchantment and history, its branches adorned with lingering magic from their victory. Today, we celebrate not just our victory, but the resilience that brought us here, Elena proclaimed, her voice strong and vibrant like the dawn itself. Every sacrifice, every moment of doubt, has shaped the bonds we share. This is the dawn of a new era. The crowd erupted in cheers, their voices melding with the whispers of the wind, echoing the sounds of revitalization. Elation radiated through the assembly as they called upon their magic to manifest a celebration that could truly capture their unique union. Candles floated into the air, shimmering like fireflies, casting warm light on the gathering while vibrant flowers, imbued with both illusionist finesse and glooming aesthetic, burst into bloom around them. Mia, feeling the pulse of energy flow through her, stepped forward. "Let's honor those we've lost," she shouted, her voice a harmonious blend with the magic swirling around her. With a flick of her wrist, a cascade of luminous petals spiraled upward, each one representing a memory, a tale, a loss echoed in their hearts. As they ascended, the petals formed a shimmering archway, creating a gateway linking the realms of light and shadow. "Together, we reclaim our stories," she declared, urging everyone to join in. The crowd responded eagerly, channeling their combined energies, creating a flickering brilliance that infused the air. The wind billowed, wrapping them in magic that sparkled like fragmented stars, amplifying the emotions they shared. Aligning realities. As the days passed, the magic of unity continued to course through Etheria, transforming the realm. Ancient barriers that had separated the lands began to dissolve, revealing pathways and hidden passages that vibrated with potential. The plants and animals of Etheria responded to the renewed harmonies, their joys amplified by the newfound connections. Elena, Mia, and Jake undertook a magical journey across these borders, allowing their magic to guide them through the merging realities. Each step revealed wonders, glowing groves where Glumling's night-blooming flowers intertwined with the vibrant flora of illusionists, illuminating the ground with bioluminescent light. Standing over a fusion of their realms, Jake exclaimed, "Look, see how they flourish together." He reached out with his magic, and the colorful tendrils of plant life curled toward him, as though welcoming his touch. Through their combined magic, they cultivated an enchanted garden, a testament to unity merging strengths and aesthetics. Elena marveled at the coalescing realities, realizing that the magic they embraced had lessons to offer. "This is beyond what we envisioned," she announced, her heart swelling with pride. "The strength we hold when we weave our magic together is limitless. We must teach others to harness this power of collaboration." With Mia leading various workshops, they shared their knowledge of healing magic, illusion, and enchantments. Glumlings learned the art of light weaving, crafting dazzling displays that paralleled their shadow spells. Illusionists explored shadow crafting, creating powerful protective wards with the beauty of darkness. Leaders of a new era. As newfound leaders, Elena, Mia, and Jake stood as beacons, guiding their communities toward an era where integration flourished and trust blossomed. They formed a council that drew on the wisdom and talents of both realms, ensuring that the unique perspectives were honored. Elena organized gatherings infusing elements of both cultures, a festival of light and shadow. The annual event celebrated the blending of their realities. Enchanted lanterns floated above, illuminating vibrant stalls showcasing magical crafts and delicacies unique to both realms. Mia's role expanded as she trained champions in restorative magic, teaching them to find healing not just for wounds, but for hearts burdened by the weight of the past. With each spell cast, she wove threads of connection and empathy, ensuring the cycle of fear and vengeance was truly broken. Magic can only thrive in unity, Mia emphasized, guiding her charges as they practiced intricate healing spells. The aroma of soothing herbs mingled with sparkling energy, filling the air like an enchanting melody. Jake, ever the enthusiastic organizer, introduced collaborative performances, combining the playful illusions of the illusionists with the dramatic artistry of the Glumlings. As they captivated audiences with fascinating displays, laughter and cheers melded in melodic harmony, a celebration where light and shadow intermingled beautifully. Threads of legacy. Under the twilight oak, the three leaders gathered to contemplate their next steps, their spirits alight with the success of their endeavors. The tapestry they had woven, depicting their intertwined history and shared future, hung proudly nearby, reflecting the magnificence of both cultures together. "This is just the beginning," Elena mused, gazing up at the vibrant threads. "We will continue to foster understanding and magic in this new age." "Yes," Mia agreed, her voice a soft murmur. "Together, we can create a legacy that honors our past while embracing our future. We are the keepers of this magic, and we must safeguard it." Jake beamed with excitement and determination. "And we'll teach everyone to wield this magic, to embrace the threads of trust, acceptance, and cooperation." His eyes sparkled with the limitless possibilities that lay ahead. And as they stood together, feeling the magical energies pulse around them, Elena, Mia, and Jake knew they would continue to weave a tapestry of unity, enhancing the bond between their realms with every spell and every act of kindness. Together, they would forge a brighter future, no longer bound by fears of the past, but united by the magic that flowed around and through them, forever lighting the way forward. Epilogue: The Endless Horizon. As dawn broke over Etheria, the golden light unfurled like a vivid banner across the sky, illuminating the landscape still glistening from the remnants of their recent challenges. Elena stood atop a gentle rise, the twilight oak a silhouette behind her, its branches swaying softly in the morning breeze. The vibrant colors of the sunrise mirrored the swell of emotions within her, a mixture of joy, fulfillment, and a flicker of concern for what still lay ahead. Reflecting on the journey that had brought them here, Elena felt the weight of both their accomplishments and the trials that still awaited them. From the chaos of mistrust and misunderstanding to a united front that had woven the once disparate realms into a single tapestry of hope, it had been a path paved with sacrifices and triumphs. Yet, as she gazed at the horizon, a tinge of apprehension nestled in her heart. In the distance, the outlines of dark mountains loomed, their jagged peaks etched against the brightening sky like a scar upon the landscape. Shadows twisted and danced across their surfaces, hinting at remnants of old magic and unhealed wounds waiting to resurface. The peace they had forged felt like a delicate truce, beautiful but precarious. Elena turned as the others joined her, Mia's presence a calming balm beside her. "Look at how far we've come," Mia said, her voice resonating with quiet strength, yet holding a note of caution. "And yet those shadows remind us that challenges will always exist." Jake, ever the optimist, joined in with a grin. "We've faced darkness before. And look at what we've built together. With our magic combined, there's nothing we can't overcome." Elena smiled at her friends, their bond unapologetically strong, but she couldn't shake the feeling that their work was far from over. "We may have won today, but we must remain vigilant. Magic is not only creation, it is also chaos. And where there is light, shadows will always linger, waiting for a moment of weakness or neglect." She felt a shiver of anticipation flicker in the air, a reminder that peace was often a prelude to greater conflicts. She had glimpsed other realms beyond their own, places shrouded in mystery, influenced by forces that sought to disrupt their hard-won harmony. What if, she pondered aloud, these shadows are harbingers of something greater, an awakening force that tests our unity and resilience? We should prepare, not just to defend what we've built, but to explore what lies beyond our borders and delve into the mysteries that beckon us. Elena's words hung in the air, igniting a spark of curiosity in Jake's eyes. Adventures await. We should expand our reach, discover different realms, and connect with those who might share our struggles. Just imagine what we could learn. Mia nodded, excitement threading through her calm demeanor. And we can remind others of the power of collaboration. Darkness often thrives on isolation, we can counter it with unity. As they stood together, looking toward the endless horizon, their hearts resonated with a shared resolve. They understood that the bonds forged through adversity could shine a light strong enough to illuminate the shadows that lurked beyond the edges of their newfound peace. Together, Elena declared, her voice firm and clear, "We will face whatever challenges arise. We are the guardians of this realm and the keepers of our magic. Light and shadow will challenge us, but we shall embrace both, weaving them into something magnificent." The dawn continued to unfold, casting a warm glow over Etheria, and in that moment, they felt a renewed sense of purpose. With every adventure awaited on the horizon, they understood that life was an intricate dance of light and shadow, a testament to their resilience, creativity, and the bonds that would guide them through the storm. With intrigue and anticipation simmering in the air, they took a collective breath, ready to step into a future filled with uncertainties and possibilities. The horizon beckoned, and for Elena, Mia, Jake, and their burgeoning community, a new chapter awaited. The adventure was only beginning.